Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic, and welcome back to the Welcome to Asgard podcast, episode 357, where today we have our Chosen of Valhalla July stream. And Laura, if you do want to jump back in, you are more than welcome to do so. I am joined today by two of my chosen. We got Mr. Roy and we got Rosetta Allen, and I'll do my proper introductions of them in just a second. But before I go any further, please make sure you smash that like button, not that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey. And also, just to talk about something that literally happened about 30 minutes or so prior to the stream. Apparently, I am a hateful, violent and dangerous person because Twitter has decided to lock my account. Ooh, I've violated their rules apparently, and according to them, it's right here. Yeah, we've determined that you've violated the Twitter rules, so you have to wait time before using Twitter again. So I've been locked out for 10 hours and 2 minutes, and it says I might have some additional tasks. So far, I've not been told what those tasks might be. But I did get an email from Twitter explaining what happened, what I did wrong, what crime did I commit, what terrible violation of human rights did I possibly commit. Well, it turns out it's simply a matter of me stating a simple fact, really, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad that this is all that you need to do nowadays to be labeled hateful and bigoted. So here's my violation, everybody. I said, LOL. She's still a woman, y'all. Hashtag Ellen Page is a woman. Hashtag Ellen Page. That's what got me kicked off, everybody. That's what got.
Well, I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen worse. I can literally tell you that one of the suspensions I had. I mean, I've had a lot of ridiculous ones. I had one where I was literally suspended for saying "thank you, sir" to my husband.
Now was the reasoning?
I'm not kidding.
Was the reasoning that you were backing up and supporting the patriarchy by doing that? Was that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, this is crazy stuff. I got suspended for actually posting images of tribal information from the Crazy Horse Museum debunking lies about my tribe.
Wow. Yeah, it's like facts don't matter anymore. It's like facts don't matter, you know?
No, as long as it can be used for their agenda and pointing out evidence that, the tribe is, pro-military, pro-life really, really pisses people off.
I was
we're not
surprised
allowed to be that.
I'm surprised that for the other one, with your husband, I'm surprised that the email didn't say, because you are setting us back by supporting the patriarchy. We've decided to
I get these things pulled all the time. I get notices that I violated. They don't show me which supposed tweet, and they never send me emails. And when I have to go searching for one that's actually been removed and says it violated, and they never notify me. I was never notified why they took the old account down. I had to track it down myself.
Yeah, what's amazing to me was when I tried to sign into the Twitter, it just said I was locked out, and it didn't say check your email for more information. It didn't say anything. I just showed it to y'all. All it said was that you've been locked out for violating the rules, and so I had to go to my email. It was then in a sub box for social posts, basically, and that's where I had to find it, and that's where I found this email right here. But yeah, apparently I have promoted violence. I have either promoted violence, threatened violence, or harassed by just stating a biological fact. That is where we are in today's day and age, is that you cannot state a biological fact. And here's the thing, and I've said this before, if she's legally changed her name, okay, hey, she's legally changed her name, I'll call her Elliot if that's her legal name, but she's still a female. She's still a biological woman, and no matter what she does, that's never going to change. So, YouTube, YouTube as well, but Twitter especially, your rules are clearly biased in one direction. And it's sad to me that Elon is trying to back out of the Twitter deal. I'm hoping he's playing 4D chess and trying to get a better deal for it. But let's just say I hope there's a bigger plan in place, because if this is the future, I don't know what else is going to happen from here. But
I look at Oz comment and chat and going, well, they did tell me when I got flagged and strikes on my YouTube channel, and I literally got strikes for calling out somebody wishing harm on those who were medically exempt from masks because of disabilities.
Wow.
I literally got called out because a video a while back that Amazing Lucas did literally said that those don't exist and the people should be forced to it. And so the government has the right to hold people down and inject them whether they want it or not. Wow. And I called that out as hate. And yeah, I'm the one that got fought, like, not him for actually seeking harm to people.
Yeah. Was it a threat of harm that they violated you, or that they threatened you with, or was it spreading medical misinformation?
Their claim was that it was medical misinformation to cite my own medical conditions with documentation.
Yeah. It's like the people
I don't know how that works.
It's like the people who get banned or limited because they cite something from the CDC, and it's like, what do you want me to do? I'm citing your Bible. I'm citing your CDC Bible. So what in the world am I supposed to do?
That too, because that was the other thing. Everything that was posted in that, I showed the links where CDC and World Health Organization agreed with what I said.
Yeah.
And I got flagged for that being misinformation. And I'm sitting there like, that's your guys that you say are faultless. Yep. You know, it's like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and say hello officially and introduce the chosen who are with me today, and then we'll jump into the chat for a little bit, see who is here. But first off, let's start off. Actually, let me go ahead and put the participant names up so that way people know who people are. There we are. All right. So first off, Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, how's it going, good sir?
That's going all right.
Good.
A little tired, but hang it in there.
Yeah. I always and this is my ADD speaking again, but I always love your image, your avatar. It just always makes me laugh. It just always makes me smile every time I look at it, because it's one of those things where when you don't know what people look like and all you know is their avatar, there's like all of a sudden when you try to imagine like hearing the voice and trying to put like a face to the voice, but then you have the avatar in your head, there's like this weird combination of things, and you're just like, oh, I know he's not a horse, but for some reason it's just this weird.
A horse is a horse, of course.
Well, I used to think a woman was a woman, but apparently that's no longer true either. But Mr. Roy, you've been doing well?
Yes.
Good.
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. Very, very nice. And I'm sure we'll talk about things. You've been able to see some movies and such since last, because were you on the one from May? Were you on the May stream?
Yeah, I was on
Okay. The May stream was the one where you had been a while because we couldn't match up dates.
Yeah, because I spent like 6 months working a lot.
That's right. Yeah, because I know it was. I know that you had that last one, and then a bunch of people couldn't make it to last week's stream since that was on me. Obviously, I was busier than I realized for the month of June. So I was like, I probably should have looked at my schedule ahead and been like, oh, I should probably figure out when I'm doing the Chosen stream. But I'm glad that we were able to get everything to work out in the end, getting the two Saturdays in a row. And I'm glad that you've been able to join for another month.
That Saturday was maddening because I got called in basically to be on standby.
Yeah.
So I got called in onto a shift and waited 10 hours to do nothing.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's just. But you were mentioning before that you're rising up in the ranks over there. So congratulations, that's awesome. And
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure we'll also be able to talk about you've been growing, because I always know, because Mr. Roy, by the way, Mr. Roy is an amazing person. He always will send me digital codes for films that he's gotten and to do for giveaways in the future. And so I always know when he's gotten new films because I usually get the digital codes. And so it always makes me happy because I'm like, yes, I love having a fellow brother in the physical media collection game. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure, as well. Because I bet you got a lot.
Yeah, I got a bunch. Even stuff that you don't know about, because there's some stuff that didn't come, unfortunately, with codes. So
yeah, it's like, because I know a lot of Criterion stuff doesn't come with codes, for instance, and I'm sure there's other companies too where it's
kind of surprised. Like a lot of the little $5, $6 Blu-rays you get from Amazon, a bunch of them don't have codes in them.
Yeah, and yet you'll also have ones from like 10 years ago that have codes that are quote unquote expired, but because they technically don't ever really expire, they still somehow work most of the time. It's like, okay, so they were able to figure this out years ago, and you have other companies where it's like, come on, we're in 2022 now.
Yeah, I still kind of get weirded out by you buy a Blu-ray that comes with a DVD. I'm like, what do I need the DVD for?
I know. It's like, why not just spend a little less money and give me a piece of paper with the code on it instead? Because that's a fun thing too. Because as as I mentioned, you mostly give the codes away. And for me, it's more like a principle thing. Like that's how I think games should be too. I think that if you buy a physical copy of a game, it should automatically come with a digital copy as well. Because it's like you've bought the game, you own the game, you might as well kind of offer that out. Now, I'm imagining the gaming industry kind of works that way for a specific reason, but that's the reason why we do what we do with our, make MKV backups and everything, because then it's, hey, doesn't matter if you gave us a code or not, because we have our own version that you can't touch. Mm-hmm. Dang right. Yep. Well, I'm glad to have you back here on the stream, Mr. Roy. We are also joined today by the lovely, unfortunately, she is sick, though. That is Rosetta Allen, the Eagle Rider. Rosetta, other than being sick, how have things been? Oh, no. Stephanie B's in the chat, too. So we've got a lot of people that are that are sick. So, Stephanie B, I hope you're feeling well. And so, Rosetta, though, how are you doing?
I mean, overall, I'm getting there bit by bit, but it's just been crazy, and I need things to calm down. Mm-hmm. That's what I need.
Yes. Because what was going on? I think it was back also in the May stream. Obviously, we know that there has been obviously just a lot in your family going on, some tragedy and, things that you've been struggling with that. And, we've been, of course, the Asgardian community is amazing because everyone's always, checking in on people and offering up prayers for people. And I remember you were sharing that, but have things gotten a little bit better, at least on that front?
Well, I mean, I'm still dealing with losing Dad, which I think has thrown all of us off a lot. My husband is losing his grandmother. It's weeks at this point at most. So it's just crazy. It really is.
It makes you also, I think, it's always one of those weird things where, during the darkest times in our lives, especially when we're losing, parents, grandparents, relatives, sometimes even friends too, right? Where it's also as dark as it is, as down as it makes us, there's also like this weird sense of light attached to it as well, because it makes us appreciate life just that much more, right? It makes us appreciate those that are around us that much more. And that's what's always fascinated me about it in general. And for me, obviously, as a person of faith, like that stems to me from just God's grace that, when God, when something happens to us in our life where we are more prone to, because of our, personal attachments to our loved ones, especially, which is such a natural part of what it is to be human, right? So to love another, to put the needs of others before ourselves, to show those emotional attachments in that way, healthy emotional attachments, at the same time, to also get that sense of, that sense of grace as well, to appreciate those around us.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I mean, it's
still hard.
Our hardest times will eventually make us better people, but they still are rough to get through. And when you're going through so much physically, medically, emotionally, it can feel overwhelming, even if you can get through it.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole concept of forged by fire, right? It sounds really nice, right? I've been forged by fire, but you're still getting it's like, yes, but you also get burned, right? It's like, yeah, but let's talk about how the fire, it's still going to burn you. You might get...
Can we talk about the fact that I can't hear that phrase without thinking of Doug Marcaida? So,
So who, actually, I don't know.
Show. I love that show.
Who's Doug Marcaida? What is that from?
Okay, there's actually a show called Forged in Fire. It's been around for quite a while,
okay.
Which is literally a competition for working in forges and doing unique medieval weaponry.
Oh, nice.
And Marcaida is one of the weapons specialists who works on it, who does a lot of the testing and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man.
Yeah,
wow.
That's what I thought of when you say Forged in Fire, because me and my husband are like addicted to that show.
And of course, when you mention shows like that, all I can think of are like other random, like obscure shows. There was a show, I never watched it, but I've seen the clip from it, where they dug up people's backyards. Like this was the thing they did. Like people would say, oh, I think that there's like treasure in my backyard, or I think there's this or that. And so they would sometimes use dynamite. And so like one of the main things that is constantly quoted from the show is the guy before it goes boom, basically just going boom, baby. If you search like for GIFs online and stuff, you'll find it. But
with Markita, what he does is it will cut and it will kill while he's testing stuff. And he actually does things like cut to ribbons, ballistics dummies with actual blood effects and stuff like that with the weapons as he's testing them. They have one of the guys, Will Willis, that does a lot of the testing off and on different seasons.
His name is Will Willis?
He is an ex-military sniper who actually does things like shooting bullets to split them across the blade edge 100-some yards away.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, this is the kind of stuff I love to watch usually when I get a chance to see things. I like to watch creation, destruction, history, knowledge, you know?
Did you ever watch, what was it called? It must have been Greatest Warrior, or it was something like that, Warrior, where what they would do is they would put like a ninja versus a Spartan. And they would there was all this history beforehand. So they would go into what are the key weapons, what were the key defenses, what were the weaknesses, strengths, and they would put it into a computer program. And then they would run a simulation by the end of it. So, you know, as you're getting this history about the kinds of weapons, how deadly they were, like they would use it on these like, you know, mannequins that are made out of like flesh type material to see like what kind of damage it would do. But they would do this, put it all into a computer, and then they would run a simulation. And as they were running the simulation, they would then cut to a dramatic telling of the fight. So you would have two actors one pretending to be a ninja, the other a Spartan, fighting each other. And then one of them would end up winning, and it would explain like the percentage of times that Deadliest Warrior, Joey Horn. Thank you for mentioning the tech. Did you ever watch that one?
A while back, there was also a brief one which was Master at Arms, which was actually them forging custom guns from scratch and testing them and stuff too. There's of course things like Expedition Unknown and stuff. If you want to watch someone act like Indiana Jones and go crawling crazy stuff and try to find history and forgotten treasures and stuff. And I love this kind of stuff. I love learning about the world, and I love seeing crazy stuff. And Expedition Unknown gives me claustrophobic issues at times because he does crazy stuff. I'm surprised he hasn't died yet. Because they'll go to these places and they're like, oh, here's a cave nobody's ever found before. It goes down quite a ways, looks straight. I'm just going to slide down and I don't know what's at the bottom. And it's like, no. And my brain's sitting there going, no.
Oh my goodness. Well, Rosetta, it's great having you back on. We'll talk about things that you're working on. I know that you're also, of course, as we mentioned, not feeling too well. So if at any point you need to head out, you just let me know. And, as we hear the poor coughing in the background.
The poor pitiful girl, right?
No. Well, thank you all both for being here. And I know that Matt is going to be here a little later. He said he'll be in probably by the halfway point. And if any of the other Chosen, the link is in the Chosen chat on Discord. So if anyone wants to jump in, y'all are more than welcome to do so. But let's say hello to some people in the chat before going around the horn, seeing what people have been doing the last month or two for some. So first, Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington started things off. I did get... I don't know how it's showing up for other people. I don't know if it's saying my count is suspended or not. I don't know if... Because I think for a lock, it doesn't show anything on other people's ends. I know for a suspension, it does. It says this count has been suspended. But for a lock, I don't know necessarily if it does. But I got locked out of my Twitter for stating a biological fact. Who would have known? It doesn't show people if you've been locked out. Yeah, that's what I assumed. But yeah, for 9 hours and 44 minutes. I have 9 hours and 44 minutes left of my lock. I've got a countdown going. We got Laura, the Modern Major General. What's going on, Laura? Hanging out in the chat. She said that she wanted to hang out in the chat today since she was on last week's, and we were able to have a really good back and forth conversation. But Laura, if you ever want to jump in today, you just hop right on in. Mr. Roy in the chat as well, playing that Streamception, and Rosetta doing the same thing. Hail to you. Let's see. Papa Cotty, what's going on? Good morning. Glad to have you in the chat. We got super fan Adam Shawhan back again. Shawhan. This is the most consistently I've seen you back in a long time, but it's always good to see you, brother. He says, LOL twatter. Yep, that sounds about right to me. Osmondias, what's going on? Welcome back. Sebastian, who is a member, saying, to quote the great Joe Rogan, hashtag, open quote, I'm pulling a Joe Biden here, open quote, strong men make good times make weak men create hard times, end quote, repeat line. There we go. I didn't have to read that last part. I am turning into Joe Biden. Laura Tag, what happened to Amazing Lucas? I don't know. I actually never watched Amazing Lucas. Rosetta, I'm assuming you might know more about Amazing Lucas.
All I know is I used to like some of the stuff he did. He always acted like he was part of our side of arguments and stuff like that. And then he's gone really like BLM anti-cop and yet supporting government and force shots and stuff like that at the same time. It's like, how do you do that? How do you do the mental gymnastics to say the government's trying to kill people and then say that people shouldn't have any rights to stop the government from injecting them with stuff? Because that seems like a really weird mental gymnastics.
Yeah, I think I actually know who this is. Was he like kind of like a smaller fit black man? Is that Amazing Lucas?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So basically,
he always claimed like he's on our side, but he's gone really nuts. Like, just some guy. He's gone completely nuts. Those two just went weird.
Yeah. That one made me really sad too, because we had him on Friday Night Tights all the time, and then all of a sudden he's just going after people on social media. Then he just blocks all of us, no conversation. And I think a bunch of people even tried to reach out to him one-on-one, have conversations, and it was just like didn't want. So it's always sad to see that, because we look to them and we think to ourselves, there's a lot of good there, and it's always sad to see how sometimes one or two things can push them in a certain direction. Stephanie B, as I had mentioned earlier, is also in the chat. Stephanie B, I hope that you're feeling better. I know that you have been. I know that you've got the coof as well, and we don't know exactly whether or not Rosetta has the coof officially, but regardless, she doesn't feel well. Yeah, but Stephanie B, glad to have you in the chat. Let's see, Scott McKenzie. What's up, Rosetta?
Just would love to, Steph.
Yeah. Scott McKenzie, who is a member, says, Ezra is no man, meaning he does not act like one. Yeah, I would actually say he is a man, he's just no gentleman. I think that would be the more accurate for me, right? He is a biological man, but he is no gentleman. But I think I know what you're trying to get at there. He's no real man. He's not a real man, I think it would be the better way for me. Rogue Disney, what's going on? Stephanie B, yes, indeed, I know. Yes, Tina will be absent, having a day of beauty. Yes, indeed. All right, let's see if we got any other tags or member comments. Curzilla, what is up? Thanks for being here. Joey Horn, thank you again for letting me know about Deadliest Warrior. That was the title of the show. And yeah, I love that show too. And also the guy who did the voiceover, I'm pretty sure it was the same guy from the movie 300, who did the voiceover. He was one of the actors in it. The one who was like all Spartans, he was inspected. Had he been weakly or sickly, he would have been discarded. That guy. I'm pretty sure he also did the voiceover, or at least someone who sounded just like him did the voiceover for Deadliest Warrior. Laura got very excited by mentioning of Spartans. And then connecting to something, it's like a Monty Python skit. Now for something completely different. She went from Spartans, woohoo, I love Storage Wars. That would I think make the show a lot more interesting, Like you're just going through storage.
Spartan Storage Wars. where you try to gash each other up. True you try to find storage. Is I actually know a couple of people who do streams who actually do like buying storage units and stuff like that, and they actually make a game of seeing how many of the storage units they buy have inappropriate items in them. Mm-hmm. You don't even want to know. You don't even want to know.
Based on your expression, I can take a few guesses, and you're right. I don't want to know exactly what it is.
It just gives you a clue how twisted our society is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Apparently, my comments were bad enough for me to get locked out, but not bad enough for them to remove it altogether. Because Scott McKenzie says he can still see my Twitter act. I don't know if he just meant he could still see my Twitter activity or not, but it'd be interesting if the tweet itself.
I think account probably is what he means.
That's what I think too, but it would be interesting to see if it was still up there. Ruben Christopher Haynes, who's a member. What's going on, Ruben? Thanks for being in the chat, good sir. Rob D is also here. Bruce in the chat. What's up, Bruce? Howdy, howdy, howdy. And we got Grim in the chats. Let's see. I think we're almost caught up here. Gus is in the chat as well. And then Scott with a member saying, you got my point on Ezra and what is a man? Okay, cool. Good to hear that. Alrighty then. Well, with that, let's go ahead and go round the horn. Rosetta, you doing okay? All things considered.
Not very, no.
Oh. Well, it might make you feel a little bit better, but Culture Casino's in the chat.
Hi.
What's up, Culture Casino? You mad lad, you. 6-minute live streams. I mentioned that on Twitter and I was just like, it's amazing. It's amazing, brother. So keep up the great work, man. And yeah, make sure not to get kicked off of social media or locked out of social media for stating biological facts like I did.
Biological fact, no matter how much surgery they undergo, they are not genetically the same in sports and athleticism.
Yep. But that's hateful now. You can't say that. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you say that? I'm offended.
Now. The levels of my hatred are not to be talked about, right?
Well, I mean, I would say this to Twitter, but I wouldn't actually mean it.
Sorry. I'm really sorry.
I don't really mean it, though.
You just had to pull out the stories again.
I had to pull up the stories. I had to. I love that show. It's been a while since I pulled that one up. But anyway, let's go ahead and go round the horn. And are you waving goodbye? Or are you saying hello to people?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just showing you how pathetic I'm feeling, maybe.
Well, so Mr. Roy, you can be here pretty much the whole time?
I'll probably have to head out.
Probably at what time?
Probably about halfway.
About halfway, so about 1:30 or so?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I gotta go back to bed, so I have enough sleep for
tonight. Okay, gotcha. So about 1:30. Rosetta, do you think that you will stay on for a while, or do you think that you're gonna?
I think I'm going to probably leave pretty soon at this rate.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and start with Rosetta, and then we'll go to Mr. Roy then for the rest of that. Yeah. So Rosetta, what you been? Obviously, you've been sick, but have you, prior to being sick, anything fun that you worked on or that you were able to see or anything like that?
I'm mostly working on the jewelry stuff and watching all these weird shows I've been listing with my mom when we're in the house. 1,000,001 errands, about tons of cleaning, rearranging, all this stuff, but oh God. Physical therapy for the leg injury from February. Yay, that one's fun. So it's mostly trying to rebuild my health, which decided to take a turn for the worse today.
Oh no. But how? So what have you been able to do with the jewelry?
I'm mostly just finishing up pieces, sorting them, and getting photographed to sell and stuff. But mostly earrings and necklaces right now, because stuff I'm going to use for family events. So,
yeah.
I mean, yay! I'm up to 15K on the elliptical daily for the leg. So
nice.
Which that's 15,000 steps every day. So.
That's awesome. That's something I really need to do myself, but I'm just
although today I kind of think it's not going to happen.
I'm pretty sure being sick, you have yourself a reason to not have to worry about it. I was going to try and pull up your Twitter to share, but I'm locked out. So I'm actually in my other account that I actually have, the OMB report one that I don't use anymore, but I did create a while back. So what's your handle again? Because normally it's right there for me to pull up. But what's your Twitter handle again?
Queen1.
Rose M Queen. Okay, that's what I thought. I was putting Eagle Rider in, and I was like, wait a minute, why isn't it showing up? There it is. All right. So
my husband was weird setting it up when the other one went poof after I fought with Gates McFadden.
Oh, really?
Apparently, she didn't like when my followers all started spamming her with "Shut up, Beverly."
Oh no!
Because she was being that nasty and bigoted, so it kind of got fun.
Yeah. Well, here is
the crazy chick.
Yeah, you crazy chick. We got the American flag right here. Yes, we got some fireworks. But anyway, if you want to support or follow Rosetta with any of her work, at Rose M Queen 1 is the way that you would do it. You can also, of course, follow her YouTube channel.
He's not going much further lower because he doesn't know what's up there.
Oh no, it's because I was trying to pull things up, and
I have to give you crap.
I know.
It's fun.
Let's see.
Just dealing with them and swearing. Yes, I swear.
Yeah, swear. So I'll go back to the top.
I don't censor much. I admit that.
Yeah, but hey, you're a free soul. That's what it's all about.
But see, the difference is also, I think, my personal view is words are the intention behind it. Same reason why I don't take it any less offensive for people to replace really offensive phrases or threats on people with polite words and try to hide it. I still find that just as hateful and just as anti-Christian. I think it's the intention of the word and how you're using it.
Yeah.
That's personally me,
Okay.
And so, that goes to the people who will basically call people horrible sinners by going, "Oh, bless your little sinner heart," and stuff like that. It's like, you're not better by saying "bless you" before you degrade them.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And that's why it's always an interesting conversation with kids talking about morality during the year, because that's something that usually one of them will bring up, and I'm always like, thank you for bringing that up, basically, of why is it the word itself and not the intention? And I'm always like, it's actually both, right? Because normally the word has a certain intention behind it, but then also there are other words that can have that same intention, which can be equally as bad, even if it's not necessarily, as you mentioned, right? If you're tearing down somebody, one of the things that they always love to talk about is, is this a sin? Is this a sin, right? Or in the Catholic context, is this a mortal sin, or is this a mortal sin? And it's amazing. It's always hard for them to fully get the concept of having full knowledge of what one is doing and fully consenting to what that action is, right? Actively choosing that action. So sometimes they'll bring up things like, what if someone asks you, how they look in a certain outfit? Like, do you tell them the truth that they don't look very good? And so normally the way, like, it was fun that someone brought that up, because I'm like, well, remember, there's different ways to tell the truth, right? You can be brutally honest, and you can be really mean, and you can still say, yeah, I'm honest. It's like, yeah, but you're also being mean, right? You're also tearing them down.
I think it depends on if you're being brutally honest with the intention to insult and degrade, or you're just being blunt with how you speak, but you're being honest and open and trying to actually give constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And that's a very fine line, honestly, with people, especially depending on their personal situations.
Yeah, that's why when they gave the example of like the dress, I said, well, one way you could tell the truth is to say, like, you look awful and this is terrible, you look this, you look that. And it's like, but you could also say, I don't know if that's the best one, let's try another one, right? Because then not only are you still being honest, but you're also actively trying to help them as well.
That goes back to, because I did work for a while in a clothing boutique, and I worked a lot with selling prom dresses, actually. So it's you don't want to sit there and tell them they look good in something they don't. You don't want to ruin their event and stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't want to sit there and make blunt comments about skin and other stuff. But at the same time, you want to let people understand that, you're pale and you're blonde. Yellow is not a flattering color on you, and it washes you out. Same with beige. If you're darker skinned with dark hair, wearing blacks and browns kind of washes out and looks funny on you and makes you disappear. You got to flatter your features or something that stands out against you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you got to find something that fits your bone structure and your body shape the best. And that was always...
Everything that you just worded, everything that you just said, the way you worded it, it's like, yeah, exactly, right? All you said were, everything was true, everything was factual, but it's also, you were clearly, even in just that explanation, not trying to tear them down, but actually trying to help, right? Trying to accentuate their beauty.
Now, if they look at you and go, really, how does it look? That's awful against your skin tone, but this one will be better because it will flatter your eyes and your hair. you can still be the bluntly honest, but still be well intentioned in trying to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And some people will, I think a lot of people, most people will appreciate it, but then there's others that won't, right?
Most did. Oh my gosh, it got so I was always slammed because they'd come to me because they knew I wouldn't lie to them. I was always slammed at that shop.
Because I was always one of the more brutally honest types, but not with the intention to be mean, but just to be honest. And so whenever I'd go see like shows, I did musical theater when I was growing up, and so every now and then I'd go see another show at another school, and so sometimes I'd have friends in the show, and they'd say, "What do you think?" And I'd always give my honest thoughts, and so sometimes I'd be like, "Well, I think that y'all did the very best with what y'all could, but I don't think the show is really appropriate for high school age, and I think that y'all struggled with that because having a 13 or 14-year-old trying to play a 70-year-old man is not gonna usually play out the way that it should." And sometimes they would take that, and other times they. I remember one time they got pretty mad, but hey.
I know somebody who literally was in an all boys school and they tried to do Little Women. Yeah, it's like no.
Yeah, it's like the school that did it was an all girls school and they did 12 Angry Men. But there's an adaptation apparently that exists out there called 12 Angry Women. And yeah, had a lot of kind things to say about that. Oh goodness, yes. Younger, a much less PC version of Odin at one point. But where can people go?
To be what I can.
Where can people go to support you, follow your work, other than, is Twitter the best place, your YouTube channel as well?
The YouTube channel is there. I need to start streaming again because I've been kind of out of commission most of the last year, but I actually am almost to 1,000 subscribers also.
Nice.
I do have the Twitch. I technically just need to get the hours up. I have enough to try to monetize there too. And I have the Redbubble, and all of those are listed in the top of the Twitter there. So as long as they have that from you, they can find them.
Okay. Cool. Let me pull that back up. So that way I can pull that up. So yeah, if you want to support Rosetta and her work, you can follow her on Twitter at RoseMQueen1. And she's got the Twitch link right here, her YouTube link as well. I don't see
the Redbubble is easy to find. It gets shared basically daily by Grumpy Ninja, so it'll be in those stuff easy to find. Trust me.
Okay. Gotcha. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's again the way that you can do that, and I'll go ahead and copy and paste that so that way it's easier for people to find. There is the Twitter for Rosetta. Was there anything else? Again, I know that you are that you're sick, recovering, and trying to do everything you can to get better. But was there anything else that you wanted to talk about today before you headed out?
I think right now I just need to get out and try to get some tests done and see where I'm at medically.
Okay. Well, hope you get better. Get some rest. Hopefully you can get some sleep.
Take care of yourselves.
Yeah, get better soon.
Blah, 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 blah. Crazy girl. And now my mom's calling. Bye.
Well, thank you very much, Rosetta, for joining. And even when sick, being able to jump on and join. Mr. Roy, what's going on, brother? What you been watching recently? Anything that you wanted to talk about?
I'll start off with Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What did you overall think about it?
That's all right. I liked it.
Okay. Now, by all right, do you mean it was just okay, or that it was really, really good?
It was all right. I was kind of confused by the story a little bit.
Okay. Had you seen the original?
Yeah, I've seen the original.
Okay.
It's one of those movies where you kind of start asking questions. Like, yeah, they shoot off Tomahawk missiles. So why can't they just shoot the missiles at the deal? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it might just have been the fact that because the target was so small, they wouldn't have been able to be accurate with it. Or
I understand
detected.
why they're doing it, because they need to make a story that revolves around flying these planes in a low valley.
Yeah.
They need to make the shots look good.
Yeah. But I guess so, because I'm a noob when it comes to this kind of stuff. So would a Tomahawk missile have been able to do the same thing that they did?
Probably.
Okay. Even with a smaller target like that.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just goes to show you how little I know about weaponry and about military tactic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I like the film.
Yeah.
Characters are really good in it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's shot really well.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I think them saying this film is filmed in IMAX is kind of false advertising.
Why do you think that? Is it because it's not actual IMAX film that they used?
Well, they're filming the film using Sony Venice 6K digital cameras. They're IMAX certified.
Okay.
Air figure quote IMAX certified.
Oh, okay. So basically, there are IMAX specific cameras, and now there are also cameras that are not specifically IMAX, but are certified to be used in an IMAX screen, basically.
Yeah, the IMAX will certify certain outside manufacturers to do like IMAX certifies basically just a camera that films in the IMAX aspect ratio.
Okay.
To get like even close to 70 millimeter like quality, you got to go up to like 12K.
Oh, wow.
These cameras only filming like 6K.
Yeah, and it's like we say only 6K, and yet we have to remind ourselves just how much data that is on. These are likely, especially the ones. I mean, they kind of have to be the ones that are on. That are in and on the jets themselves. They are all likely digital, without the use of actual film, and actual film stock. So yeah, I mean, you just think about the amount of storage you would need just to film one sequence.
Yeah, it's quite a lot because it's raw footage. It's not compressed down in any way. I mean, the film looks really good. I mean, it's shot really well. It's very clear. I mean, they did a really good job with it overall.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see, and I imagine that they couldn't, which is why they had to use the 6K cameras, because I can't, because I don't know how. I can't imagine that an actual IMAX film camera. I cannot possibly imagine that they've gotten that to the point of it being small by any means, which makes sense because of the size of the film and everything else. But I couldn't imagine them putting an actual IMAX camera onto.
It's not even the size of the camera; it's the noise that the camera makes when it's shooting. Yeah, like you can't even shoot dialogue scenes with IMAX cameras.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but they gotten the cameras small enough. Like they had a documentary called Everest where they filmed with an actual 70 millimeter camera on the top of Mount Everest.
Oh dang!
They actually had a dedicated person actually carry the camera up the mountain.
Oh yeah, I bet. I bet they probably had to have special equipment just to keep it from freezing and to keep the parts going, right?
They had to specifically size the camera down and everything just so this one Sherpa could carry the camera up the mountain.
Oh my goodness, wow. Yeah, and that's the other thing that I was thinking of with the actual, like, if they were to try shooting it, I imagine that they wouldn't be able to either, because you think about the G-forces, and if there was actual film inside of any camera, the chances of that causing some imperfections and some problems probably would be pretty high too. So yeah, I think they went the right route.
Yeah, I mean, they come a long way. I mean, they've had the film cameras up in the space shuttle when they filmed the Hubble documentary. Yeah, I mean, they've gotten them down size-wise quite a bit, but it's not the easiest thing to work with. The film stock's crazy expensive. The actual films, when you print them out, are crazy expensive. That's why movie theaters are moving away from them.
Yeah.
I mean, digital's good, but I mean, I don't think it quite gets up there with the film cameras yet. I mean, they're getting close.
No. Yeah, because I think you even said that for IMAX for 70 millimeter, it's about 12K that you would need digital to match the output, basically.
Yeah, just basically match the resolution.
Yeah,
I think they still can't get the color right.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense too. And then what is it for typical 35 millimeter films that some people still make? Would it be 8K or?
I think 8K.
Okay.
I have to look that up.
Yeah, I used to know that. I think there used to be a site even that had the breakdown of like the quality differences and what you would need to have in order to match the quality. But as you said, even if you had a digital image, you're still using a digital image versus an analog image. And so even if you can capture an equivalent amount of data, essentially, equivalent to that of an actual film camera, you still would have color grading, issues or color grading questions and things to handle. Not to mention, if you're using a digital signals, just like anything physical, can also become corrupt, or there can be errors in it, and so that could cause, problems down the line as well. So it's a beautiful technology because it's made filmmaking so much more accessible for a lot more people. But what's amazing to me, you mentioned about how expensive the film reels are, how expensive to actually film a movie using 70 millimeter print for IMAX, or to show it in an actual screen, right? The amount of money for that technology, for the projectors now, especially since they're not very commonly used, so they're more of a specialty item. But then you also think about how many films that use practical effects or use actual film have so much lower budgets than these massive digital CGI fest movies, which, I understand it from the concept of rendering and the amount of time it takes for rendering and the amount of space you need for it, but I've always just been intrigued by that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have seen the original. So where does this one compare to the original for you? Do you think this one was better than the original, or do you think that the original still stands up?
They're all, I almost consider them two different movies. I like them equally. Like, I'll rewatch both of them kind of back to back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. It's one of those things where anyone who says that they think the original is better, I completely understand where they're coming from, because even if an original may not be the best film, like the best story or whatever, there's always just something about it because it is the first or it is the original. And then I also understand anyone who says that this one's better, because I think as a film, it's a better film, like as it's made. And that's just because of time. The technology is so much more advanced now. They, with this specific vision, right, with the actual fighter jets, they are able to do stuff now that they couldn't do back then. Not just technology wise, but also just, practically. So I think that, that's why that middle ground position also makes sense, because they're very different films, and yet they're also so similar. This film does such a good job. It hits the same beats in certain ways, right? Similar emotional beats. And yet is still a unique enough story to stand on its own as well, which I find
you can tell they put care into this. They didn't
absolutely
just throw it out there.
Yeah.
Like you see some other stuff.
Oh yeah. You see other stuff out there and you're just like, I don't think they gave their best effort on this one. I don't think they were really trying all that much on this one. But yeah, Joseph Kosinski has always been a very, he and his cinematographer, Claudia Miranda, they always do great work as far as the visuals for their films go, because they both did Oblivion, Tron Legacy, they did Only the Brave. They have always been able to come together and really push forward these really beautiful films.
Yep.
And and then Spiderhead wasn't as good of a story. Like, there's some interesting concepts with Spiderhead on it's a Netflix film. It's got some interesting concepts with its story, but I can at the very least say that visually it's a pretty stunning film.
What the heck is a Spiderhead?
So Spiderhead, it's a new film on Netflix, and it's Joseph Kosinski, so same director. Claudia Miranda obviously comes back to do the cinematography as well, but it's Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, Journey Smollett. I don't know how she's related to Jussie. I don't know if they're siblings or what. I assume that they're related. I don't know. But it deals with a prisoner in a state-of-the-art, as it says here, penitentiary, beginning to question the purpose of the emotion-controlling drugs he's testing for pharmaceutical genius. So it's an interesting concept because it's basically a bunch of prisoners who have long prison sentences, and they've been given the choice to either stay in state prison or become basically test subjects at this pharmaceutical company's prison, private prison, basically, where they get a lot more free time. They can roam around, wear regular clothing. Like, they get access to all this kinds of stuff. They're still serving their prison sentence, but they don't have to be in a state prison. So it's interesting from that, but it also, there's commentary there about the pharmaceutical industry. There's commentary about a lot of things, but I always get bothered whenever big Hollywood studios back films like this, because I think to myself, okay, you're criticizing here pharmaceutical companies, and yet many of you are either funded in part or defensive publicly of said pharmaceutical companies. So
yeah, it's not right. So I mean,
yeah. Yeah. So any other thoughts about Top Gun Maverick?
yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it.
Yeah, Cruise is insane.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age too, and he's still
Yeah, just hit 60, I think.
Yeah, he's still kicking these movies out.
I know.
Kind of amazing.
And in the next 5 years, I think it's the next 5 years, he's going to make a movie in space.
In space, like legit in space?
Yeah, like they're building a studio. They're building a studio in space to film a movie. And I want to say it's like another 5 years out or so. I think they're working. I assume they're working with SpaceX to some extent. But yeah, the plan is for them to get an actual movie studio in space, in orbit, and to film a movie there. So yeah, and I'm assuming that they're gonna at some point film him in a rocket as it's going off, and he's gonna actually be in the rocket as it's going off. Like that's just what I'm like, okay, they're gonna have to have that, and then they're gonna have like almost all the other parts of that process too, as in addition to anything they decide to do on the space station studio that they're building.
It's hilarious thinking about Disney and what they're doing with Star Wars when it comes to just regurgitating the same crap. What's Tom Cruise doing? He's going to film a movie in actual space.
It's like Disney, all the money in the world, right? They've got unlimited budgets, and we know this because they spent $200 million to make Lightyear. They spent $250 million to do Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's like here's Top Gun Maverick from Paramount where they spent $160 and made this beautiful film that people love. And then, yeah, Tom Cruise, what's he doing? He's doing his own stunts, and he's pushing the boundaries of not just stunt work, but also of what makes a movie amazing, right? Like, people look forward every year to say, oh, what crazy movie is Tom Cruise doing this year, right? You know, it was Mission Impossible. It was Rogue Nation was the one where he was hanging off the side of a plane as it was taking off. Like, that image was seared in everyone's minds of, oh my gosh, did you see that Tom Cruise was hanging off the side of a plane as it was taking off? And I remember that trailer too. And when I first saw that trailer and they show you like the end of the trailer is just him hanging on the side of the plane as it's going off. I was like, oh my gosh, what in the heck is he doing now? It's like, I know he's got safeties there, but he's on the side of a plane. This is insane.
Yeah, that stuff's still dangerous. Seeing they're using safety equipment. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And so that's why it's like I can't wait to see what they do. But that's the kind of stuff that you really need to do now, you know, is to actually pique the interest of the movie-going populace, because those old rules that some studios still try to follow don't really apply anymore. And yeah, Disney could literally build, you know, and also think about this. They're building this Star Wars theme park. They're building this Star Wars vacation house thing that costs thousands of dollars and is stupid. And it's like they could actually have put money into building a hotel in space. Like they could have probably gotten to the point where they could get close to having it be at the very least, you know, only a few people at a time. But they could have been doing that at this point. And what are they doing? Instead, they're putting a bunch of green screens, putting a bunch of 4K projected screens and all these other things to save, you know, to try and save money while still spending a crap ton.
I never thought, so I didn't grow up with Star Wars. I kind of just became a fan as an adult. But I never thought in a million years I'll just be so bored with it and so uninterested in watching anything Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't like that feeling. It's just something that I really like now. I don't care for it anymore.
Well, you just think about the scope, right? You think about the scope of Star Wars, like it's an entire galaxy. And there's so many things that they could do with it. And you see what they are doing with it, and you're like, why?
And then how much money they're dumping into it.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
It's insane. It's completely insane, and it's sad. But it's. I think a lot of people would. Could you? Here's what I would love to see happen. I would love for this. This would be the dream scenario, at least for me. I would love for Elon Musk, after he's bought Twitter. Please, Elon Musk, buy Twitter, not just for my own sake, but for just humanity in general. I would love for him to somehow, they would never sell it, but somehow strong-armed Disney to sell him the rights to Star Wars. But then all of a sudden, Elon Musk says, hey, I bought Star Wars. I've hired Tom Cruise to be the executive producer. And our first film is going to be a Joseph Kosinski-directed film with Claudia Miranda back, with Tom Cruise producing, and it's going to be an epic Star Wars film. And hell, you could even have Tom Cruise in it for all I care. That, to me, would be one of the biggest films of the last decade if that happened. If all those things fell into place, that would be a massive hit. Just with what I laid out, I think people would say, take my money now. Right, even before they have a plot, even before they have anything else, because they would say, oh, wait, this is the team that did Top Gun Maverick, and now you're adding Elon Musk into it, and you already have Tom Cruise trying to build a studio in space. Yes, tell me a story with them doing Star Wars. Like, I could see them together as a team building an actual X-Wing fighter, like building a working X-Wing fighter to fly in space. That's what I could see them actually doing. That'd be amazing.
I mean, probably the easiest thing to do is to make a live action version of like TIE Fighter or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, could you imagine that? Like, now that's the kind of stuff that would get me excited. But what's Disney doing? Oh, well, Taika Waititi, he's going to do a Star Wars film, guys. And he asked Natalie Portman, he didn't know that she was already in one, but he's got ideas. Oh, really? I'm not excited at all. No, thank you. This is the nonsense you're pushing. All the while, random guys right here on a webcam, on webcams using microphones, just random fans right here. We just gave an idea that is an easy $1 billion minimum idea. They could easily make $1 billion off of the idea that we just came up with. Oh, man. Oh, now I want to see it, though, because if anyone could build a TIE fighter or an X-Wing, it would be Elon Musk. It would be SpaceX. And if anyone would be the first to fly one and film a movie, it would be Tom Cruise. So it's just a perfect combination of things. Man, oh man. See, now I'm excited for something that probably, unfortunately, will never happen. Mm-hmm. We can dream, though. We can dream. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. So what else were you able to watch?
The Batman.
Oh yes. What are your thoughts on The Batman?
It's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest with you.
Yep, I would agree. I would definitely agree with you there. What were parts that you liked about the film?
Despite it being dark, it's pretty well shot. Some of the supporting characters are pretty good. I like the story in the first probably 2/3 of the movie. It's basically the ending part when they get to the stadium of all the Riddler followers and stuff start grabbing guns. That part of the movie just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts of the story that don't make a lot of sense, and you're just like, that's a questionable decision. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree. Like when Batman is doing Batman detective stuff, it's good, it's fun, it's intriguing. Anything else is just what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What is the purpose of this? The only other thing I could think of would be any scene that has Penguin in it. I liked.
Yeah. Colin Farrell did.
Yeah.
I think it's Colin Farrell. Or who was
it? Is Colin Farrell, yeah.
Yeah, he did really well.
Yeah. I just couldn't...
I didn't like Robert Pattinson in this movie.
Why not?
He just does that thing where he just stares at other actors for really long takes. It reminded me so much of Twilight.
Oh no. It's because he's getting into the role. He's trying to go method to an extent, I guess. I don't know.
He's being lazy.
He doesn't want to move. He just wants to stare and be motionless. I guess it works kind of with a character like Batman to be more of like a stoic,
For 3 hours though.
Well, yeah, he's Batman, I guess. I think that's the excuse that a lot of people have used for the film when they're like, "Why about this? What about this?" And then all of a sudden, it's, "Well, he is Batman."
Fun fact: when he was doing the auditions, the only bat suit that they had that would fit him was the one for Batman Forever.
Mm. Just without the, I don't remember seeing bat nipples on this one, so at least they didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So what were some things that you didn't like really hated about the film?
The Robert Patterson thing.
Okay.
They're kind of making. I've read about it. His inspiration for Batman was Kurt Cobain.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I'm like when I think Bruce Wayne, I think Kurt Cobain. I'm like, no, that don't work.
No.
There's a reason why he's a rich playboy. He's trying to hide the fact that he beats up criminals at night.
Yeah.
But you look emo and you don't look like you've had any sleep. They're gonna get suspicious.
And then the one part too that has gotten more on my nerves the more I've thought about it, because I know Tina was really like rampant about this when she talked about it, and even beforehand when she knew about it, and that was when he just walks through the crime scenes. He just walks right through the crime scenes, and it's just oh yeah, he's good. It's like, no,
I kind of noticed that too, and also that he sees stuff that the people at the crime scene don't see, and I'm like, these things are like out in the open and really obvious, and they don't see this stuff. I'm like,
it's like you're just trying to say the cops are not good at their job. It's like, that would make sense if you were going for they're all corrupt, but you weren't going for that. So what are you trying to say here?
This a lot that didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Paul Dano as Riddler? I have mixed feelings about it myself, but what were your thoughts?
Kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then when that scene happens, you're like, oh, it's Paul Dano.
Yeah.
I don't see the Riddler. I see Paul Dano.
Yep. I think the worst thing they did was the unmasking, because the way they did it to me was just stupid. It was just very contrived, and they were trying to make it as he's 4 steps ahead of everybody, but it didn't play off that way. It didn't really work the way they wanted it to. And then also your whole film is building up this really creepy, really, I think, really well done creepy persona of Riddler, right? Being this insane person. And then you unmask him and it's like, oh, it's just Paul Dano.
It's just Paul Dano in an apartment
that was
right next to the entrance to the club the whole entire time. This is stupid. Come on.
Yeah. The worst part for me, of course, and it's been talked about at length, though, is when it does the random cut and it's him talking to his YouTube followers, basically. It just, because
that's the part of the film that kind of drives me nuts. It's like, yeah, he's got this YouTube following, and they're willing to go up and get guns and go up into this stadium and shoot hundreds of people. I'm like, hang on a second.
That's not how this. Wait a minute, this is not how it works. And but also the fact that he had the mask on, like, had it been that personality, but he didn't have his mask on, I'd say I still don't like it, but it is what it is. But the whole time he's been in the mask for the rest of the film, it's been him being portrayed as this very creepy, evil, psychotic person. And then to have that same visual, but now you've decided to add in, hey guys, I just wanted to say I'm so thankful. I was, no, this does not work. And you could tell they were trying to play it off for laughs. And it's like, no, that's what Marvel does, and you shouldn't be doing that because it has no place in here, and it's bad. Oh my goodness.
Also, when I watched this thing for the second time, I noticed the CGI a lot more.
Yeah, the chase scene, I think.
Yeah, some of it's bad.
Yeah. And it's sad because the chase scene has a lot of good stuff in it.
The sound design's incredible.
And there are some practical effects too. So it's sad because it's just a mishmash of practical and CG, but the CG is so as you said, so noticeable, especially when you're paying attention.
Like the really fast moving objects are very you could tell they're trying to hide it out with motion blur, and it's just, you can see it. It's really obvious.
especially the big trucks. When the big trucks start to get knocked down and knocked over, you're like, yeah, okay, I could tell that was. See, it reminded me a lot of the CGI, and this was excusable because the film I'm going to mention is many, many years older, but it reminded me of CGI from Lord of the Rings. And specifically when the Rohirrim were riding out, to face them, to go right back, to go into the battle. I think it was them trying to save Gondor. Is the sequence I'm thinking of? So they're going straight at it, and then they show the horses as they get knocked down, and you could tell they're CGI, like they're crumpling forward. But you're like, no, that works because that's the CGI they had at the time. They actually played it so that it actually works pretty well because there are real riders in the frame too, to an extent. So there's also light, so you could tell they're not trying to hide it. They're just using the technology that they have available to them. But with this one, it's just like, you shouldn't have that. You should not have that level of CGI in this movie after it's 20 years removed from that one. 20 years of development, and it looks equivalent as far as the motion, as you mentioned. It's just not good.
Yeah, that's a good criticism that Tina points out, that there's some scenes in this movie are just way too dark.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's intentional or they don't know how to shoot with digital cameras. I mean, yeah.
They could have taken some lessons, I think, from who was it, Todd Phillips, who did Joker, because he made the film look dark and grimy, but it was also never too dark. As far as the visuals. That's
digitally shot too, and they managed to make that work.
Mm-hmm. And I remember they had released a YouTube video of him playing out or going over one of the scenes and all the color grading that they added in. And when you look at it, you just think to yourself, wow, it's actually amazing. They make it look so real when they show you how much digital noise and digital makeup essentially that they put onto it. They could have learned a lot, I think, just from that alone.
Yeah, what they did was subtle, though. It's not crazy like you see. Mm-hmm. Like, you watch that scene, the stadium scene from the Batman, you see all the CGI. It's all over the place. Like when the water floods into the stadium and stuff, it just looks fake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it kind of reminds you a bit of the Dark Knight Rises stadium scene.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was a bad one too. But at least you could see that one. At least that one was in daylight. Oh yeah, it's one where I remember after I came out of it, I was like, it was okay. I think I had it at a B or B plus, and then I remember I changed it just the other day. I had it at 3.5, and I dropped it down to 3 because I was like, the more I think about the movie from just a technical standpoint, the less I can really be behind and support it, because there are things that I like about it visually. There are things that I like about it story-wise. Even Tina had mentioned this last week. I actually thought that, or I think she had mentioned, or someone else had mentioned it at one point. Maybe it was Tina, maybe it was someone else, but had mentioned like Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. It was like, I thought, I mean, they clearly did a race swap for the character, but they at least got a talented actor,
Yeah, I thought it was a good casting. I mean, it didn't faze me.
Exactly. Yeah. All the while they take an amazing person like Andy Serkis and waste him as Alfred. It's so
that's, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Let's see what some people have been saying in the chat, and then we'll jump back into
probably some bad stuff.
Yeah. Some of the other.
You don't like the Batman? Oh
no! How dare you? No. Let's see. Gary Banjo, this is a while back, says Jesse from Storage Hunters is in my channel opening montage. Oh, nice. Is that the guy who I was quoting earlier who did the Boom Baby? Boom Baby. I don't know who that's from. Chris from the 80s, what's going on? Just under the red shirt, hail to you. Ruben was sending some love and prayers to Rosetta. Yeah, absolutely. Sending those to Rosetta and to Tina for them to get better soon. Miss Minnesota hockey fan, what's going on? How about a hockey player? Just got back from walking the dog. Hopefully the weather's not nearly as miserable as it is near me. It's rainy and muggy. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't want it, McQueen. I don't want it. Gary Banjo sandwich. I saw that comment there. That was not the direction I was going with the 12 Angry Men thing, but I see what you did. Sandy Q, what's going on, Sandy Q? Welcome back to this channel. And Justin with the red shirt had tagged and said, in the Gulf War, a tomahawk could hit a specific window in a building. Okay, dang. Okay, so yeah, going back to Top Gun. Yeah, again, I'm a complete moron or just limited in knowledge when it comes to anything military. So okay, yeah, I think someone else had mentioned that it can hit a target that's 2 millimeters like wide or something. So hey. What would I know? All I do know is that even though it might have been done for the convenience of story, I'm glad they did.
If they would have wrote the story like, yeah, our tomahawks don't work or they're malfunctioning or something, but to have them in the movie blowing up the airfield, it's like, come on.
Yeah, because honestly, I've only seen it once, so next time I watch it, I'll have to go back and listen to see, do they make any reference to explain why? Like, is it that because of where the target is, it's more likely, or no, I think they did. They had air defense.
They do, but I don't think it's enough.
Okay, because I think it's that they have an air defense, and so if anything shows up in the atmosphere, that's why they have to fly so low. If anything shows up in the radar, their defense systems go in and will blow up the missile before it gets to it. I think that was the reasoning.
Yeah, but did you see how many missiles they launched?
Well, maybe they have a huge defense system. So you never know. I'm willing. To me, it's again, maybe it's the simplicity of my own mind, but it was enough for me to be able to suspend my belief. Or to suspend disbelief, you know?
I think they would have been better off just not putting them in the movie at all. And help the audience forget that they exist.
But you know what? You say that, and yet I bet there are people who then would have been like, this is the modern military. They would have they absolutely would have had this kind of. So I think most people probably were able to look at it and say, okay, fine, I'll accept it for what it is.
It's still a fun movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. J-Man, welcome to the chat, good sir. Thank you for being here. Ruben had some comments. His member says, here is a beautiful story regarding the topic of love and connection. He says, I took a beautiful woman out to dinner. It was our first going out as a couple. What my action told her is that I love her and not what she wears. I dressed up in a suit and tie. She did her hair, wore a stunning dress. What I didn't know or even look at was her shoes. She was wearing an old pair of sneakers, yet when I saw her, all I was looking at was her beautiful face and precious soul. She knew at that moment I loved her for her, how what it was wearing. We are all looking to be touched and support by those we love. Always look to the soul, find their tender soul, and empower them with love. Amen, brother. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just for people to know how much we appreciate them, and for people to know that we love them for who they are. You know, obviously there is going to be a level of an attraction there for sure, but ultimately it comes down to us reaching out to others to put the good of the other before our very own. Let's see. Chuan Lee, what's going on? Welcome to the chat. Justin of the red shirt says, I'm not far behind Cruz in age. Ooh. So are you going to be flying some jets soon, Justin of the red shirt? It's like
he's going to hang himself off the end of a jet.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I can do it too. I could be like Tom Cruise. But think about anyone who's like at that point of like either at 60 or a little above 60. And then it's just like you look at Tom Cruise and then all I could do is look to them and say, yeah, what's your excuse? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? He's going to go to space. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm a lot bigger than Tom Cruise, so I got an excuse.
Well, for me, it's like I'm in my 30s and I'm already like, dang, yeah, what am I doing? Like, I think a lot of young people could look to him too and even say, oh, man. Let's see. Scott McKenzie had said, Maverick proves if you make a good movie and onto the fans, we will show up. Amen. Yeah. For sure. Have you only seen it once, Mr. Roy?
Yeah, I only had a chance to see it once.
Yeah. It's one I want to see again. I had already have you pre-ordered the Steelbook for it?
I'm thinking about it. I think I got the original from you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I remember I had some that I'd done in a giveaway at one point. But that thing it was weird. It was like the week of its release, Best Buy had already put out the pre-orders for the Steelbook.
Yeah, they've been selling their Steelbooks very strangely lately.
Yeah, it's really, and I know a lot of collectors are getting really mad because even with their limitations, where they're trying to, quote unquote, stop, the people from buying them and selling them on eBay and price gouging and such, it's still not working. Their system is still clearly not working. And
yeah, I think they just need to stop the exclusivity with their store and just let those things just sell online. It's been way easier to buy them things through Amazon.
Yep. I absolutely agree. So, because when it became first available, I ordered it. So last I had looked, I think it had said it was not available. So I'm wondering if they've already sold out, which is kind of crazy because a lot of people probably weren't expecting it to be available to buy that early on.
Yeah, because I bought the first 3 Indiana Jones movies, well, the only 3 Indiana Jones movies on Steelbook. It's really nice because the actual set comes with that 4th movies in sleeve cases. It's nice to actually have them in actual Steelbooks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've talked about this constantly before, but I just wish all the studios would just adopt the Lionsgate model, because using those plastic slip covers for the Steelbook is just so genius, especially with what they do with the artwork. It's practical in addition to it being a great visual addition as well. One of my favorites, I think either you had bought one or maybe you won one in a giveaway, but I had to keep on getting it because it just looked so gorgeous. I think it was a Kagemusha. Like it was I think that was the one. It was a Kurosawa film that they had released. I think was it Kagemusha or was it another one of his films that they released that they got the rights to?
I forget. I bought some.
Oh, I'm forgetting it. I think I might have it on my shelf. Let me see. Because it's beautiful. Oh, man. Oh, no. It was Ron.
Yeah, I got that too.
This thing right here. I love it. It's so beautiful. I love it. It's just beautiful artwork, but then also it's practical too, right? Because they can actually put the artwork on the actual slipcover. This is what every studio should be doing, and the only one that's doing it is Lionsgate. And it's driving me mad. I mean, Warner Brothers, okay, yeah, this is a nice steelbook. This is the Edge of Tomorrow steelbook. They just released the 4K steelbook. Ooh. It's like, okay, yeah, that's nice, I guess. There's the matte finish on it and everything, but I don't know. It's just when you look at that and you look at this, it's like it's not even close. It's just like, no, this is how this should be the standard by which every studio works. I mean, if every studio was doing this for their products, I'd probably have 100 extra steelbooks at this point.
Speaking of that, I do sell protectors for these things.
Yeah, and I remember it was the Children of Men steelbook, and I saved up some money on that and got it on
the fact I could
eBay.
buy 25 of these for $30 says a lot, because it's like, hey, movie studios, can you just include this, please?
I know. Well, also because those are the ones where doesn't it close? Like there's a little.
Yeah, so, from the looks of it, some of them close, some of them just plain plastic sleeves. But I mean, come on, this is not a big cost.
Yeah.
To add to your.
I've a couple of times bought on eBay some steelbooks where it's like either because it was one of my favorite movies or it was one that I just really wanted for my collection. So there were a couple of times where I was like, I probably shouldn't have spent as much, because it is feeding into that culture of, overpricing ones that they probably had bought extra for. But I had gotten it in the one that I got came in. I'd done that twice. I've done that for Children of Men. It was a regular steelbook because I haven't done that one on 4K. But I love the steelbook. It was a beautiful design, and Children of Men's one of my favorites of the modern era. It's an underrated film that most people haven't even heard of. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I remember watching it on Cinemax back in the day.
Oh yeah. and it's awesome. The other one was Blade Runner 2049. I was not able to get the 4K steelbook of that one, so I paid a little extra on that. And that one also came in, but it was like a plastic one with a closed top, and it's like heavy duty though. And it's like, we don't even need that. Like, that's the one I think that you could probably get the 30 for 25. It's like this thing right here. It's just, it's, you know, it's protective enough, but there's nothing fancy about it. There's no open or close, you know. And this one, they actually put the artwork on it, but you don't even necessarily have artwork. You don't have to have artwork on it necessarily.
That's probably one of my favorites that I got right now.
Oh, yeah. There's not many others that I can think of in the collection I have that I would put up against this one, to be honest. Or at least none that I can think off the top of my head. Because the design itself is gorgeous, and the use of the slipcover, I think, is genius. Mm-hmm. And I wish they would do that a little bit more often, because they have other ones too where they do it, but it's not like I got the Hurt Locker one, and it's like, yeah, you do a little. It's there's some visual trick, but it's not anywhere close to being like that. Let's see. Laura had added into the discussion about the fantasy booking we were doing. Next to Ryan Reynolds using a lightsaber, I think Tom Cruise would be very cool Jedi. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think have that happen. Tom Cruise and Ryan Reynolds in space flying actual X-Wings. Yes, please. Make it, you have a buddy cop story right there. Father Luca, what's going on? Blessed Saturday to you. Thank you for being in the chat. All right, we'll get a couple more and then we'll head back into what you've been watching. Scott McKenzie had said another Disney Channel princess show and movie. Oh yeah, I've seen the promos for that. I think it's on Hulu technically, but you know, Hulu's mostly owned by Disney. And the promo, the trailer for that was so cringe. It's very female empowerment. Valuga said just stop by to say hi on his way to Croatia. We'll have safe travels, and thank you for stopping by. Bifford Hobbit says he fell asleep at Batman in the end. Yeah, I think that we could agree, or at least understand that. Scott McKenzie, Forte Chess to reveal the bots and lower the price unless he found out the rumor is true on some type of government NSA agreement that would sandbag him. Oh man, if he found out something and can expose them or hurt them, that's awesome. But I do hope that it's some type of 4D chess. I really do. He says, Comercott says, I knew Musk wouldn't buy. I listened to Upper Echelon say this months ago. That's just the thing, though, is that it's not set in stone yet, because Twitter's claiming they're going to sue to have the deal go through. And to me, that actually benefits Elon more than anybody, because then Elon could say, all right, and then could say, all right, Discovery, okay, and now let's reveal all the data. I mean, I think that's actually a game that he would probably end up winning.
The thing I'm hearing about is that one of the reasons why the deal's taking so long is they can't verify how many accounts on Twitter are actually bots.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They assume that it's 5%, and if you've been on Twitter more than 10 minutes, you know it's way more than 5%.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And also they always play that game of active users versus actual users. And I think that he's doing this to expose something. I think there's the two reasons I think are most likely of what's going on in Elon's head is either one, he is doing this on purpose to drive the cost of Twitter down, or he's trying to get a better deal. So he's trying to spend less money on Twitter because of what he's found out. Or two, he is trying to use things that he has found out that maybe he can't reveal because of an NDA, but by his actions, it ends up like revealing it essentially. Mm-hmm. Because I heard it was like the Twitter stock had dropped dramatically when the news was announced. And so I can't imagine that's going to really recover at this point. So could just be a long game play for him. At this point.
I still can't figure out why people are on Twitter.
Yep. The main reason for me is because that's unfortunately where everybody, as many bots as there are, it's also where most people are, because I have all the alternatives. Right? I have Gab, I've got Minds, I have my locals community. I've got the Truth Social, which was called a failure, and now apparently it's not as much of a failure because there's actually a lot of active engagement there now with it having the desktop site. Whatever. So it's like I have all these places, but the place I still get the most engagement and the place that most people still use is still Twitter. So
Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with Discord for right now. I'm just kind of just tired of trying to jump on multiple social media sites and then try to keep up with all that crap.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I also have the Discord server too. But yeah, for the Discord, it's better if you're invested in one specific community, or if there's a lot of people that you like that are, or people that you connect with already and they all happen to be in the same Discord. It's easier, I think, to
Yeah, their notifications are way more reliable than like YouTube and
Locals, I think, has some pretty good notifications, but their issue is more so the look. I just don't think it looks nice. I don't think it looks as polished for me, but I do think notifications at least work pretty well in there.
Yeah, like with your live stream notifications, the one for geeks and gamers and stuff, they're just I just set it through Discord because they always pop up.
Yep. Because it's amazing how something as simple as a notification can't be handled correctly by the multi-billion-dollar corporations like
they
YouTube,
literally own the streaming platform and your phone, and they can't get it right.
Somehow, some way, they just can't figure it out. So what other things have you seen?
I've seen Hell and High Water.
Oh, good film. Was that one that you had won? Or
that was one of the still books that I got.
Okay.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
What
did you like most about it?
The characters and the acting. Mostly. It's one of those few films that I wasn't irritated by Chris Pine.
Well, it reminds you that Chris Pine actually can do some acting, you know?
When you put him in a good role with good characters.
Exactly. Yes.
Ben Foster's really good in this film.
So Foster's one of those guys that he's good in almost everything.
Yeah, this is a film where he almost blends in, like he almost don't even notice he's there. He goes so good. He's such a good character. Jeff Bridges is really good too.
Absolutely.
He's kind of old, but
but they kind of play into it. You know, it works for that role, and it's better than what they do sometimes in films where they have either an actor or they write a character where you're like, that person shouldn't be able to do that. You know, luckily they don't really push that envelope.
There's a scene later in the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, where he looks so exhausted, and you're like, he man's in the 70s. You kind of understand why.
Yeah. Now, it's actually been, this is a film that came out in 2016. It's been a while since I've seen it, but isn't this the one where at one point they're in a diner and there's this hilarious waitress who's just like sassy, and
there's one scene when they're in a diner with this sassy waitress. He gives her a big tip, and then they confiscate the tip from her, and she gets so angry that she doesn't want to cooperate with them anymore.
I want to say I heard a story that in special features that she actually works there. Like, she's an actual waitress that works there, and they loved her so much they put her into the film. I want to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Because that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, was just like this just really sassy older waitress just going out.
Yeah, there's another scene in the movie where the two Texas Rangers are in another diner and the old lady shows up. It's like, what you don't want. I've met them kind of women before in Texas where you don't really have much of a choice when it comes to ordering the menu. That is, this is what we serve.
Yeah.
This is how we serve it.
Yeah.
All right, yes, ma'am.
Oh man, it really, honestly though, it's just so great. And for those that don't know, because David Mackenzie, I don't really know him for a whole lot of stuff as a director, and I'm not really seeing much here, you know. But don't let that kind of hold you back, because the thing that really ties us together, because as you mentioned, the characters are great, the acting is great, the story is also really solid, and that all comes down to the fact that Taylor Sheridan is the writer. Now, a lot more people know about him now because of how he's basically taken over, was it Paramount Plus? Because he has Yellowstone, he's got 1883, there's another one that he's got too. But I've been a fan of this guy from the beginning because he did the first Sicario film. Yeah. And he was the writer on that, and I love that film so much. He has done that film, Hell or High Water. He actually wrote and directed Wind River, which I thought was fantastic. He did the writing for Sicario 2, which the direction, it wasn't as good as the first Sicario, but that's because you had Denis Villeneuve, one of my favorite directors, of course, on the first film, right? And so they have some random guy doing the second one, but because Taylor Sheridan still wrote it, it is actually still a very well-crafted story with good characters. It's just that the feeling isn't quite the same as the first Sicario because, you know, you have different directors, you're going to have different tones in that way.
Yeah, you're not kidding either. Yeah, the second director, I can't pronounce his name, but he's mostly just a TV director.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, Stefano Solima.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, hasn't really done much of anything.
Yeah, TV and music videos.
Yep. And so that to me is also a great example, Sicario Day of the Soldado, because I still love that movie. I still think it's a great film. But I think it's a good example of how sometimes you don't really need a good director as long as you have a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
You know? The only film that wasn't quite good that he did was this one, Those Who Wish Me Dead. This was the one he did with... oh my goodness, what's her name? Angelina Jolie.
Oh God.
Yeah, it just it wasn't very good, and it's sad because he directed that one, but he also co-wrote it. So I think that it probably didn't quite hit it off as well because there were two other co-writers on that one, where the other ones that are really good, he was, I believe, the sole writer on. But yeah, Hell or High Water is a solid movie, and as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. You know, not just you have great performances from Jeff Bridges and an actual good performance from Chris Pine, but yeah, Ben Foster is probably one of the most underrated actors out there. And he's someone that everyone knows about in some way, whether they realize it or not, because most people, especially most people watching this channel, have at least seen the X-Men movies, the originals, and they forget that he was Angel. I think that's the name of the character. Mm-hmm. The one with the wings. Is that character's name Angel? Or Archangel? I forget the name of it. But he was the son of one of the characters in X-Men 3, The Last Stand. He had wings.
Oh, yeah. That's... I remember that. Yeah.
I think the name is Angel or Archangel or something to that effect. But, hey, Ben Foster. That was him. So most people have at least seen X-Men Last Stand, even though it's a terrible movie. But he was in that. Let's see. Fahuzzi says it was Angel, but yeah.
I've never seen it in IMAX and being so disappointed.
Because then you're also like, I saw this in IMAX. So it's like just disappointment on the largest screen possible.
I think my only major criticism of Hell or High Water is that it's a film that takes place in Texas, but it's filmed in New Mexico.
I guess, isn't it because New Mexico has better tax credits or something?
Yeah, that's probably why. I hadn't really found a reason why.
Mm-hmm. Typically, that's the reason why, is because of tax credits. Because as many people love Texas and speak highly of Texas, of course, I don't think that there's nearly as much incentive for a lot of filmmakers. That's why you don't really hear a lot of... I can't think of a single one, actually, recently, where at the end of the film I saw, like, filmed in Texas.
Yeah, I want to say... I remember the film that Alamo remake in Texas. From 2004.
It's very limited, though. Yeah. It's usually only films that are more specific. Not to say... And by that, what I mean is not to say that you wouldn't have on-location shooting there, but you don't really have films based in Texas. Whereas places where you typically find them are places like Georgia, Louisiana, New Mexico, obviously Canada, and there's a couple other states that they specifically have tax credits for film industry. And so it's a lot cheaper then for these studios to come in and make their films. And with New Mexico, even though it's it's very much not like Texas, environment-wise, there are probably a lot of crossovers with, West Texas especially. and East New Mexico. So
I mean, overall, they did a good job. I mean, the story mostly takes part in West Texas, which a lot of parts of West Texas is mostly desert. I mean,
yeah.
so when you go into New Mexico, it looks very similar.
Mm-hmm. So
I don't know what it
likely.
was. My little thing in my head went off. I was like, this don't look quite like Texas.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could tell, but
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I'm terrible when it comes to that. Like, there's films that have been filmed in Louisiana, and there are people who have been like, "Oh yeah, you couldn't tell? They showed you this and this," and I said, "Yeah, I didn't like unless you show me some landmarks that I pass by like all the time. I typically don't make those types of connections. That's the reason why I'll miss things like people's biggest criticism of, was it Fast 5, I think, where it's the endless runway. Is that Fast 5 or 6?
I gave up after 2.
Okay. I don't blame you. We all know my own weird history when it comes to the Fast and Furious franchise. But they were like, for instance, there's a plane and it's on a runway, and it's on the runway for a long, long time. And people did the math on it and said, you realize that the runway would have had to have been this length in order for them to have been able to work this out. And I personally, I miss those kinds of things. Those are things that usually go over my head. So location stuff, I wouldn't, even if it was in my own backyard, sometimes I'd be like, oh, that is that area, or oh, that is that. So, but yeah, I love Hell or High Water. I think it's a great film. I need to watch it again.
Yeah, I think the only other criticism would be some of the gunfight scenes are kind of like really unrealistic and kind of like when he shoots that AR off, that scene before when he hip fires it like that. I'm like, that's kind of
not like really the way he's holding it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you see, that's also the kind of thing I would totally miss.
It kind of pulled me out of the movie for a bit. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of not the way you shoot guns like that.
It reminds me of a good friend I had when I was growing up in high school. He was someone where no matter what the film was, if there was any firearms used in it, that would be a big pet peeve. So he would come out of any movie, and if there had been any gun use, he would usually say, oh, it was such a terrible film. And you'd be like, why? Or did you not see when they were using that 9mm? Like, that's so, they shot off, X amount of rounds, and like, he would break it down from that. And it's, for me, having not really any experience with firearms, I would be, yeah, I totally missed that. I would not have ever thought of it. But, anyone who does have experience with those kinds of things, yeah, you would probably.
I do have to give credit. He actually reloaded the gun like 3 times, which is pretty realistic.
So it was mostly just the handling of the weapon.
Yeah, okay. Most people don't hip fire rifles like that. They'll put it up to their shoulder and shoot like a normal.
Mm-hmm. Now, because it's been a while since I've seen it, was he doing it as just to get to fire shots off to like scare somebody away, or was he actually trying to hit somebody?
Oh, when you shoot a rifle, you hold it up to your shoulder so you can actually aim. And when you hip fire it like that, you're just shooting it all over the place, and there's no telling what you're going to hit. I mean, it's not. Yeah. You'll do way more damage and scare someone off if you can shoot accurately at them.
Okay. Because what was happening in that scene? Was he trying to like actually pinpoint shoot somebody, or was he just trying to fire off shots to scare somebody away?
It comes off as scaring someone away, but usually when I see people hip fire weapons like that. But
it's done in a way where a lot of like most people probably would be like, you wouldn't do it that way, but I'll it's like, as you said, it took you out of it for a second. So it's like, okay.
Especially in the next scene, he's accurately shooting the bolt action rifle at the police.
Oh man. But other than that though, because this is why I always love talking to film buffs, right? Because we can kind of talk about specific things where it's like, yeah, I really like this, but let's talk about this sequence of events. This doesn't quite make a lot of sense. Or let's talk about this. Was it really necessary for them to do that? So, but was there anything else though that you had wanted to say about Hell or High Water?
No, I mean overall, I recommend it.
Yeah, I hadn't given it a letterboxd review yet, so I'd give it 4.5 stars myself.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'll do that too.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that we agree. Anything else that you were able to watch?
The right stuff.
Okay, this. Oh, who did this one?
I believe it's Tina. This is one of those movies Tina highly recommends to people.
Okay.
Which is, it's
Oh,
right.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's a really good film. It's
I
long.
was
It's really
okay.
long, but it's really good.
Yeah, because for some reason I was thinking of say 193 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a TV series that was crunched down to a 3-hour movie.
Okay. So why did you like this movie?
It's very well done. It feels like an older movie that was made in the late 70s.
Okay.
I mean, it's made in 83, but I mean, it don't feel like an 80s movie. It feels like a really like a old school, really well put together film. It's got really good characters.
Okay.
That's basically about the Mercury 7 astronauts from back in the 50s that were going up and some of the first Americans to go up in space.
Okay.
Yeah, it's done really well. Yeah, I recommend it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I remember Tina having mentioned it. I don't know why in my head, and maybe you or someone in the chat can maybe figure this out for me. For some reason, I was thinking of a Spike Lee movie when you said The Right Stuff. Is there a movie by a similar name that he did?
I don't know. I've never been a real fan of Spike Lee.
Neither have I. But for some reason, whenever because I've heard that the name a couple of times, like now from you, and prior I had heard it from from Tina as well. So maybe it's Do the Right Thing. Maybe that's why I get it stuck in my head.
I think the only film I've seen from him that I think is okay is Inside Man.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. I remember, because I saw Da 5 Bloods and it just TDS. Let's just say that.
I mean, I hadn't seen Inside Man probably since it came out.
Yeah. And then I remember, so I saw Black Klansman, and I remember liking the film all the way through up until the last 5 minutes, because then all of a sudden he does this weird montage where it's like Trump rallies and stuff like that. And I'm like, what in the hell did you just do? You just took a great film and then turned it completely into a political message. It was it was so infuriating. But anyway, not the film that I don't know why he pops into my head every time I hear the name of The Right Stuff. I guess it's probably because of Do the Right Thing. But so you like the characters of this, you like the writing of this a little bit. So it's a little bit on the longer side, about 193 minutes. Is it one where you can feel the length, or does it kind of go by quickly?
It can go by. It starts off a little slow, but once you get introduced to the Mercury 7 astronauts, it starts those. How can I say this? The film starts to go by fast. It gets in. Yeah. That's the part of the film I start really enjoying and didn't feel the length of it.
Okay. Is it when they're actually going into space?
It's when they're going through their medical evaluation and training and stuff. That's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about the astronauts when they're first selecting them, is that they put them through a lot of crap.
Yeah.
A lot of crap.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's always interesting, because it sounds like this one shows you all the things that they have to go through and takes it from a more serious standpoint.
A lot of the ridiculous medical stuff they used to do to people back in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
Some's just hilarious.
Oh, man. Yeah. And again, this is the way my brain works. It makes me think of a not serious film, but one that kind of shows that to a not a similar extent, because I have not seen The Right Stuff to have that kind of a comparison. But for some reason, when you were talking about the training process and like the things that they have to go through, it made me think of the film Rocket Man from back in the day.
Rocket Man.
So yeah, not the musician film.
Are you talking about
not the Elton John one, but the one back from the 90s. It may have been a Disney Channel movie originally or something, but it's the guy who is like a really weird nerd. And
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's that one where they go to Mars and the guy farts in his suit.
Yes.
And blows up.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But they show the training, and they put him in isolation. And that's one of my favorite parts because they're both in isolation, and yet it's also one where if you think about it too much, you're like, wait a minute, because they're in isolation, but they can hear each other.
Yeah.
Or at least if they yell loud enough, you can hear each other. Because he starts doing the John Jacob Schmidt, and then the guy goes crazy, and then all of a sudden they go into the one chamber, and he's doing a puppet show, a sock puppet show, and he's like, could y'all come back in about an hour? We're just starting the third act. And then they go to the other one, and the guy's got his pants around his neck, and it's just like, I can't find my pants. Oh, man. But so nothing like that happens in this movie because it's taken obviously from a more serious what actually happens direction.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, hey, speaking of the right stuff.
Obviously from more serious what actually
happens Tina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well, hey,
howdy.
speaking of the right
I
stuff.
can hear myself.
Serious what actually Tina.
So I'm going to take Tina out for a second because I can hear myself on the speaker in the background.
There we go.
Okay. We good?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Tina? We was talking about the right stuff.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I adore it. Is this Mr. Roy? I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey, I see your avatar. Thanks for. Did you stop by last night?
Stop.
Our stream.
Nah, I had to work.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's one of my all-time favorite top 10 movies. So, yeah, I got home from the hairdresser. I never know how long it's going to take her. And it was like, yeah, we got done in time. And I was like, well, I'm going to jump on for a bit.
Nice.
So I will mod. Hey, Soul. I see Laura. I see Nathan. You weren't in our stream last night. So, Mr. Roy, I'm going to let you continue. I'm sorry.
That's really good. I bought it. I'm looking it up right now. I think I bought it for like $5.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh. Well, see, I used to rent it from one of my local stores, and because that was at the time when you couldn't really buy movies because they run like $90 or $100 for a VHS.
That's right.
And the guy said, "Oh my gosh, you have rented this movie so much, you've bought it pretty much." And yeah, I just fell in love with it. And I read Tom Wolfe's book that the movie was based on. And I like the movie better than the book. I think sometimes Tom Wolfe tended to get rather cynical. And the movie was trying to take it a little more seriously. So, yeah. And, just another red shirt I see. They said, yeah, Chuck Yeager was a consultant. Chuck Yeager. I mean, I walked out of that movie. I was like, I may not vote for John Glenn for president, but I sure as hell would vote for Chuck Yeager. real hero. I've got the date that he broke the sound barrier. I've got it on my history calendar. So you all continue. I'll talk a little bit later.
Okay. All right. Well, glad to have you here, Tina. We thought that you were. Yeah, we thought you were going to be out for the stream. So glad that you're able to make it.
Yeah, like I said, it just depends on because the way they set up appointments at that salon is like you get in at the time they assign to you, and I pretty much know how long it takes to. I'm a redhead again, so
nice.
Yeah. Well, you all continue, so I'll jump on. Before the before the end.
Yeah, for sure. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about the right stuff, Mr. Roy?
No, I mean.
Okay. What else were you able to watch?
That's pretty much it. Unfortunately, I've been working a lot this month, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to watch anything.
Yeah.
I have a big, giant pile of movies sitting on my desk right now.
Oh, yeah. So what were you able to, because as I mentioned earlier in the stream, he's also a physical media collector. Yes. So what have you been able to pick up?
Let's see. Untouchables 4K.
Yeah.
Got my RoboCop. Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Albert Hitchcock Classic Collection Volume 2, which is
okay. My parents love Alfred Hitchcock Hour because they have, because they're old school. They still have cable. But that means they also get the Me TV channel and stuff like that. And so they have a DVR with their cable subscription. And so they'll record hours and hours of Alfred Hitchcock, of all the like just these classic shows. But it's good to hear. So they have that on Blu-ray now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Not. Hang on. No. So this thing is another set of his movies, basically.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they just released another. They always have different names, like the Essentials Collection and then the Classics Collection. So what's this one called?
That's a classic. It's got Salvatore, Shadow of a Doubt, In Trouble with Harry,
Nice.
Family Plot. Yeah,
Nice.
it's in sleeves though again.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, as I mentioned, at least with these, like with it, whether it be Blu-ray or 4K, they are just a bit. I mean, it's obviously you don't want anything that could still potentially scratch it. But thank the Lord that they are a lot more reliable than DVDs.
Yeah.
Because especially when shipping, because I'm sure this has happened to you before. As for Best Buy tends to be the worst, to be honest. They don't take care of their stuff when they ship it at all. It's bad. And so sometimes you'll get it and you'll hear the loose disc. And you're just like, oh my goodness. And then you're like, oh, wait, that's right, though. These are because of the quality of the disc being so much infinitely better than a DVD, it's almost never scratched. Whereas if a DVD had done that, it's like, nope, game over. There's no way.
Yeah, it doesn't say on the box, but the way this looks, it looks like it's a universal release.
Nice. Yeah, you had mentioned. I actually realized I had Hell or High Water on Blu-ray sitting next to me because I had updated mine to the Steelbook they released, and then the Untouchables you had mentioned as well. It's in my giveaways pile.
Got Raiders of the Lost Ark on Steelbook.
Nice.
Yeah, it's real nice.
Yeah. Anything else that you were able to pick up?
What else? Let's see. Last Night of Soho.
Yeah. Tina likes that film too.
Lawrence of Arabia Steelbook.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm really looking forward to seeing that in 4K.
Yeah.
Bought Midway in 4K.
Okay. That's the newer one, right?
Yeah, the newer one.
Yeah.
I don't think the older one's actually available in 4K or anything. I don't think it is. The Iron Giant.
Okay.
I've
actually never seen that movie.
You never seen The Iron Giant?
I've actually never. I have it. It's because it's one of those films where at one point it was on sale, and I'm like, I've never seen it. I know I have to have it, and I just
Well, people make top 10 lists of their favorite animated movies. It's usually on the list. Yeah, it's usually on the list.
Yeah.
Surprised you hadn't seen it. It's released in 1999. It's in that time period.
It is. It's during that time period where I would have been first year of middle school. I would have been going into fifth grade.
They showed it on Cartoon Network for like 24 hours.
That's right. Yeah, there's just sometimes there's those movies where it would have been within the wheelhouse, or it would have been within my time frame when I was growing up, where it would have been a film that would have been most likely to have been seen or easier to see than others, and for some reason or another they went by me. I don't know what it was about it, because I know I would have seen the promos for it. Maybe my young brain just didn't find it as I've never really been interested in robot shows typically. The exception being when they're animal robots. It's like Beast Wars.
That's what strange. The Iron Giant doesn't come off as a robot movie. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a very straightforward movie, though. I mean, next time you get time, give it a watch.
Okay,
you'd be surprised.
Absolutely. I'm randomly going through films, as I'm still making my way through DS9, which I think I'm almost now halfway through season 5. So I'm just rolling on through that show. But I'm also trying to watch, movies when I can as well. So I'm hoping to be able to get a few more in, but this always happens to me where it's like I make all the plans in the world for the summer, and then something or another gets in the way. Like in this case, it was DS9, because I'm enjoying it so much that I just want to keep on watching it and want to try and get through it. But then, of course, that just means that there's less time for doing the other things, like watching some of the films that I've been backlogged on, or in the case for school, I've been wanting to do a lot more reading as well. So I've been finally picking back up on more reading, but haven't picked up on the watching movies as much.
Yeah, on my end, I'm working 60 hours a week for 2 months. Yeah, you don't get time to watch a whole lot of stuff until you get to your month where you're not on call anymore. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. And I think the one, because I'd forgotten to send the tracking label, but the one that you recently won for the giveaway, it should be getting to you in the next day or so.
Oh, cool.
Because I've been getting notifications of people receiving them or being delivered from stamps.com.
That post office is not only a notorious reputation, like the neighboring town, their local news station reported that our post office loses packages. That's how bad it's getting.
Oh, no. Now, is it that they lose them, or is it that they
lose them? Like they'll show that they're showing up to the post office and they're not there.
Oh my goodness!
They say they're not there.
Yeah, the one that drives me crazy, and I've experienced it only a couple times though, is some packages. They'll just leave it in your box, or they'll leave the little package slip in your box. But then for some of them. And my wife said it had something to do with it, like the size, if it doesn't fit in your box. But it's like there's been several that don't fit in the box, but still they'll hold on to it. But there's others where they put like a 10-day limit on how long they'll hold it. And so I luckily there was one Jace Doe. Shout out to Jace Doe. He sent me this box full of must be like 50 or more Blu-rays and like steelbooks, like tons of stuff. I have literally a stack of. I've never had these many digital codes in my life, but like literally a stack of just digital codes. Yeah.
Say heck, I still got a couple to send to you later on.
But it's like I got all that, and when I finally actually got back to the post office, it had technically been 2 days past when it was supposed to have been sent back.
Oh.
And I was like, I got lucky that they hadn't sent it back yet, because that would have been like, Lord, to send that out with the postage and then have it sent back. It's just
my post office is doing something weird. They no longer offer the big lockers for packaging anymore.
Weird.
So what they do is they offer the smaller boxes.
Yeah.
If you get a package that's too big, they put it in one of those lockers and they put the key in your box.
Yeah. They've done that for me too.
Yeah,
but then they stopped. Like they did that for a while, and then all of a sudden they stopped doing it, and it drove me nuts. Because, oh yeah,
they just started doing it with us.
Yeah,
it's one of them key things. You stick the key in there, and it won't come back out. You just grab whatever's inside the box.
Yep, I prefer that because sometimes I can't always make it to the post office during their hours, like when the actual place is open. So because they usually keep the building open for post office a little bit longer, but like early day after day, then you could just go at a random time. And they actually used to, the local post office for me, they actually used to be 24 hours. So the workers wouldn't be there. Like the workers would be specific, but they would let the lobby stay open for 24 hours if you need to go to the PO box. But apparently homeless people or something started going in, and so that ended pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting to say the least.
Homeless people.
Yep, homeless people. They have to ruin it for everybody else. But I think it was actually more than that, though. I think it was people actually like doing stuff like inside the post office, not just trying to sleep inside or get out of the rain or any. I think it was like doing stuff that is not legal. So so anything else that you were able to pick up in your collection?
October Sky.
Okay.
Really
is that Sean Connery?
No, October Sky, that's going to be Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
Okay, I get that, and not because they're the same movies, it's because purely of the title. It's October Sky and Vanilla Sky. just because of the name, because it's like, okay, one's October.
That's two way completely different films.
Yes. Now, is Vanilla Sky the one with Sean Connery?
Vanilla Sky is the one I think with Tom Cruise.
Okay, then I'm just thinking of Hunt for Red October for all I know, because I don't know why Sean Connery kept popping into my head.
Mr. Roy, yeah, Vanilla Sky is the one with Tom Cruise. It's one of the few movies that I like him in. Going back to mine.
Tiny Tom.
Yeah. Gotta love the Maypother. The dynasty, the Maypother dynasty. Anything else?
The Last of Mohicans director's cut.
Okay, I didn't realize there was a director's cut for that.
I didn't either until I bought it.
Does it have multiple versions of the film, or is it just a director's cut?
I don't know if I can find it real quick. It's a big giant stack of movies. Let's see.
And Tina, I saw that comment about me saying Maypother correctly. Believe me, I had to think about it for several seconds before I said it out loud, because immediately I'm like, I've said it wrong all the time, and I always have to ask Tina how to pronounce it. And so my memory came up with, oh yeah, that's right, that's how she said it. So
let's see. That's just got one version, so hopefully it's got 2 cuts on there. I hadn't popped it into the player yet to see what's.
If it's a 4K, you would think that they'd be able to maybe fit all of it.
That's what's strange. Like my Lawrence of Arabia, they got the whole entire movie on one Blu-ray, but the 4K they split it.
I noticed that too. Yeah, I noticed that too. My guess is that the quality, I guess, must be pretty different because of just how much data that 4K would have been. Because I think, is it part 1 is what, 80 gigs, I think?
That's yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, I think it was like around 80 gigs or so, and then part 2 was about 40, so it would have been like 120 in total. But I mean, I feel like after the discussion we had a few streams ago, there was one where we actually talked about this, or I talked about it with the chat, and for some reason, it's like, why don't they just make the 4K with an extra layer so that it can have the same, just have the one movie on it?
That's the strange part. So 4K discs are by default dual layer.
Yeah.
And then they have triple layer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they got 4-layer or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the difference between a Blu-ray and a 4K Blu-ray is not really that much. That's why you could take like a LightScribe Blu-ray player and mod the firmware to get the ripped disc, because the discs are not really that much different.
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, because I mean, if the fact that you said that, so like there are trio layer discs basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so by default, a 4K Blu-ray is a dual layer disc.
With like 50 gigs on each layer, I guess.
So, and then anything bigger, they'll have a triple layer disc. Yeah.
Man, just put the whole movie on one, just because it just makes everything so much easier in the long run. Oh, goodness me.
Yeah, then I've had incidents where I'll scratch the first or second disc, and it ends up ruining it. You're twice as likely to mess your movie up when you got more than one disc.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
The second disc is, according to mine, it's like 50 gigs, and then the first one is dead property. Come on, computer. 80 gigs.
Yeah. I remember the first one being pretty like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, but it's like, yeah, you probably could have still made it work and still had the same bit rate and, fit the same amount of data on there, especially as you mentioned, right? The Blu-ray disc, fit the whole Blu-ray on there. I can't imagine that the quality is that terrible in compare, But anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Nice. Was there anything else? Because I know that you want to get some sleep before your next shift. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about or mention?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Are you think you're ready to go off to nap, or do you want to hang out for a little bit too?
I can hang until about 1:30.
Okay, cool. 1:30 Central.
About another 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm at 2:03 right now, so I'll keep that in mind. So that way we can get you to do some final shout outs if you have any. Awesome. Well, Mr. Roy, it's always awesome having you here, good sir.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tina, you were also here last week for the Makeup June stream, and have you been able to watch anything since the last stream that we had?
No, still binge watching Kitchen Nightmares. I'll probably never eat out again. Oh my God, those people. This idiot I looked at episode last night. He said the place was filthy. It looked like it hadn't been cleaned since they bought the restaurant, and that drives Gordon crazy. And the owner was like, "Well, it's 70 to 80% better than it was." It's like, well, what's left looks like crap. Oh my gosh, there were rotting clams tucked in corners. So, oh my gosh, and what was the one guy? Oh, if you all ever look at an episode with a dude named, his restaurant was called Sebastian's, and his name was Sebastian, and he wanted to become, have his lousy pizzas, like, he was going to franchise them out. He's one of the most arrogant SOBs I've ever seen. Even Gordon said, "You are one of the worst people I've ever met." So anyway, yeah, I've been binging Kitchen Nightmares, and we had a great stream last night. I know Steph I know she texted me. She said she modded for a little bit.
Yeah, she was here earlier and then had to head out.
And
she's not feeling well.
No, she's got the beer bug.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of her that she hung in as long as she did. We pretty much EFAP'd it. We went 4 hours, 3 minutes, I think.
Nice.
And I'm going to thank Token Woke Titty because due to him, I was like, you know what? I talked to Steph and I was like, you know what? We ought to do a show about Russell's career, Russell Crowe, and to show what a solid actor at one time he was before he just started popping up in, I guess the agent called up and, "Hey, you want to play Zeus in this Token Woke Titty movie?" And
do a weird accent
do a weird accent, which Andre on Midnight's Edge said was Greek. And
it sounded a little Italian too. It was
that's the thing. Tom said, I thought he was doing French, and Tom was like, everybody I talked to said, I think he was either doing French or Italian. And I said, well, I'm was saying it to myself. I was like, well, when the Greeks start to riot, we'll find out whether it was a Greek accent or not.
That's true.
Because they love the riot. It's like,
give them a reason. And,
I mean, it's Euros, and they're very solid behind. We love our culture. We love Euros, and yes, we we will riot if somebody messes up one of our accents. But yeah, I went into my Solo Assassin. Yeah, he's jumping back to Sebastian's Pizza. They dropped, I guess, a couple years ago when the pandemic started and everybody was stuck at home. Somebody was nice enough to post every episode of Kitchen Nightmares uncensored. So if you go on YouTube, just put in Kitchen Nightmares, put in an episode or whatever, and you can just start binge watching it. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, Rob D's right. Yeah, he was serving barely cooked pizza to his customers and had 2 wood fire stoves.
Wow.
And wouldn't use them. And it's like, why would you have these stoves and not
such a waste?
That's a waste,
yeah.
So yes, Laura said, the accent was Greek, sort of.
Yeah. It was like partly I could part of what I was listening to it, I'm like, okay, I guess I can hear a little bit of the Greek, and then all of a sudden he would say a word and I'd be like, that was an Italian flourish. What's going on?
Yeah, I've heard I'm having more fun watching the reviews and watching people suffer that they had to sit through this movie. And I was telling Laura in the chat, is it Adam Does Movies, Laura? He's got a great channel. I was looking at his review, and he said the sea is so much CGI, and he was like, I saw Lord of the Rings. They built shit. I was like, yeah, you're right. They're just so so lazy. Oh, we don't have to build anything. We'll just throw in some CGI. So, but yeah, that movie coming out, me and Steph talked, and Sharon came on because she too was a big fan. That was how the two of us became friends. We were in one of his clubs together, and started writing each other, off the club, and became friends. And so she came on, and I went in my collection. People were teasing me. They were like, "Oh my gosh, another picture of him bare chest." And I was like, "But look at how he looked back then." So I went and went through my collection, went back through his filmology. His first role was when he was like 12, I think. No, he was younger than that.
I didn't know he was a child actor.
Yeah, he was on an episode of an Australian war show called Spy Force. And a future co-star of his, Jack Thompson, who went on to play his father in The Sum of Us, he was in it, but Russell's playing an orphan. I think he was like 7 or 8. And then he did another episode, The Young Doctors. And I had never seen anything from that before, but it was another Australian show. And he plays this child that they just called Young Russell. I called him Lonely Russell because one of the doctors is complaining about him always being at the emergency room, but nothing's wrong with him. And then you find out his parents, I guess, are alcoholics, and they go to the pub all the time. So he comes to the ER to just have company. So I posted the clip of that because I didn't want us to get a copyright claim or anything. And so I just went all the way back in his career, all the way up through, like his first movie and the movies he did in Australia, and when he hit America. Recommended Romper Stomper, which American History X sort of borrowed heavily from. And that was the movie Sharon Stone saw him in and wanted him to be in this movie she had bought the rights to, The Quick and the Dead, which Raimi directed. And Russell was tied up on another project, and Sharon Stone was like, "Yeah, we'll just hold the project until you are able to be here." And I saw the movie originally because Gene Hackman was in it. And me and Sharon said this pretty much the same thing. We thought Gene Hackman was playing his character from Unforgiven. And I kept saying, I thought he died in Unforgiven. But it's pretty much the same character. A very young Leonardo DiCaprio was in it. It's typical Sam Raimi. It's kind of over the top and everything. And the character that Russell plays in it, he at one time was in Gene Hackman's gang. It's a Western. And managed to get out of it. I won't go into details because if you haven't seen it, I go on eBay, get a copy of it. And they bring Russell's character, whose name is Cord, bring him back to this town. And when you see, this is when, you start, I didn't see Quick and the Dead until after I was a fan of his. But when you see him in this movie, and it's like, he's doing things in the background when the camera is actually focused on Sharon Stone and Gene Hackman. Russell's doing things in the background that many character actors or many minor players would not be doing, and be like, oh, I'm off camera. Okay, well, I'm just going to sit here. He doesn't do that. There's one scene where they bring out a cup. He's chained up, and they bring out a cup of water, but they don't give him the water. They just pour it on the ground. And then you see him trying to lap up the water. And it's like, that was one of the things that made it started going off in my head. He is a really good actor. But anyway, yeah, I was going through all my pictures and everything. And it was nice kind of going down memory lane. And both me and Steph saw Tufog, his group. We saw him live. Stephanie saw him, I think, in Austin. They were touring down there because they did a hurricane. did a hurricane. It was a hurricane that hit Texas, and Russell and his band went down there to play to raise money for charity.
Oh, nice.
And there's Stephanie remembered it. I had forgotten it, but Stephanie remembered. She said, there's a DVD available of when they were doing the Austin tours. And I was like, yeah, I had forgotten about that. I even saw that one. So we just kind of, it was just fun kind of going down memory lane and looking at his filmology. And I know someone was saying there were a lot of his movies they realized they had never seen. I said, yeah, a lot of people don't know his Australian work. Hammers Over the Anvil has a scene in there that was voted one of the best nude scenes in movies. And he's riding a horse. And he looked great. I mean, but like I said, that was back in the, in the 90s. Romper Stomper, that's one of those movies I think you could only look at it once. But like I was telling the chat last night, he plays a skinhead. And the way his voice is or was, that's one of the few times I've ever heard somebody read a certain work by a certain horrible person who ran Germany back in the 30s and 40s. This is the first time I've heard somebody read that and make it sound poetic, but it's because this character he plays, Hondo, is so into that. But it's like, hearing it. Yeah. But yeah, it was one. I found the pictures I had from when he won his Oscar and how shocked he was. And I remember when he won it because I kept thinking they're going to give it to Tom Hanks again because Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks. And when they announced Russell's name, he stood up and then he sat back down again like, wait a minute, they called my name, and then everybody was like, yeah, that was you, and how sincere he was when he gave his Oscar speech. So, we kind of went through Gladiator and A Beautiful Mind, and of course, my favorite movie of all time, Master and Commander. Worked our way up through when Cinderella Man came out. That was when he got arrested, and the media just blew it totally out of proportion. The NYPD just blew it out of proportion. CNN even equated him throwing a phone at a freaking wall. They equated it to 9/11. Oh
my goodness.
He almost lost his work visa to work in this country, which pretty much would have destroyed everything. He acted like a lot of us would. He's in New York to promote Cinderella Man, and the phone lines weren't working. And so he goes down to the front desk, and this is a little prick is working at the front desk, and Russell's saying, I can't get, I'm trying to make this long distance call and everything. And the little guy got mouthy at him. Russell threw the phone at the wall. And this guy, instead of him trying to defuse the situation, he calls the NYPD, which arrests Russell for assault. And in New York, assault 1 is like almost close to being murder. And I'm like, what the heck? And so it was so out of control. And you heard the media, well, we know he's got a temper. He needs to be kicked out of this country. And we don't need people like him. And so it was at that point, and of course, Ron Howard, like I told them in the chat, on our stream last night, this is when I turned on Ron Howard and I said, he's a piece of crap because he claimed he was friends with Russell. The two of them had been working on movies since A Beautiful Mind, but he never said a thing. He never backed Russell up. So I was like, no, him and his daughter, you're dead to me, Opie. I'm glad Solo failed. You had that come. That's for what you did to Russell. Your stupid movie failed.
Have they ever worked together since then?
No.
Okay.
No. I know Ron Howard. He's a piece of trash to me. It's like you didn't know the circumstances. You were just like, well, I need to cut him off because new. So I'm like, Ron Howard has not had a hit movie. I was looking it up when Solo came out. I think they said he has not had a hit movie since Apollo 13. No, A Beautiful Mind. A Beautiful Mind. And I was like, serves him right. It serves him right. So, Joey, do you like gladiator movies? I saw that. But yeah,
picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue.
Stop sniffing glue, yeah. So we just kind of worked our way up through it. So Cinderella Man, that's when a lot of us started noticing that Russell had said did an interview. I want to either say Tom Snyder or somebody, but he said if he had any place to live in the world, Hollywood wouldn't be in the top 100. He didn't like it.
Can't imagine why. Can't imagine why.
And then after Cinderella Man, it was like he started like, I need to get back in with them. And I mean, he did a few movies with Ridley Scott. I think he's done 4 movies with Ridley Scott. Gladiator's still good. American Gangster is pretty good. If you've never seen it.
Yeah, American Gangster. That's Denzel, right?
It's more Denzel's movie than it is.
Yeah, Ross. But he is a featured supporting character, you know. So
right.
Yeah, I remember him being pretty good in that.
So yeah, I mean, he did American Gangster, and I think 3:10 to Yuma, the same.
I like 3:10. Yeah.
And we kind of discussed, you know, which was the better one. Sharon prefers the original. I prefer the original. We had nothing against what Russell did. We just thought that the way they handled the character in the newer version, I think Glenn Ford did it better. And Russell's great, but it's like it's just something about the character we thought Glenn Ford pulled it off better. But
and that's where it's difficult for me because I really love the remake because I've never seen the original. So it's
never
hard
seen
for
the
me.
original, right?
Exactly. But that's why I look at it and I think probably most people would agree that even though the original might be better for a lot of people, that the new one's actually still well done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, there's a few things in the newer version that I know a lot of us were kind of like, where'd that come from? I saw somebody, Wasted Anguish, said Cinderella Man was a good movie. Yeah, and it's another character that is based on a real person, Jim Braddock, who at one time was heavyweight champion of the world. This was back during the Depression, and I mean, I'll give Opie credit for capturing that Depression feel and how, like, you know, you buy a couple of slices of bologna and you gave those to your kids and you just kind of went without. Somebody said Ron Howard buys his pizza at Sebastian's. Good one. Yeah, in New York, bodega, self-defense is murder. But.
And I would actually agree, before moving on to that one, with Justin with the Right Shirt added in that his 2013 film Rush was pretty good.
Rush was good, but it didn't make any money. It did not make any money. That's with Chris Hemsworth. He did the one that the actual event that Moby Dick is sort of based on. That was
Heart of the Sea.
Heart of the Sea.
Yep.
Chris Hemsworth was in that. That was a box office disaster.
That was a massive bomb because of how much money they spent on, because that would have a lot of CGI in it too. So that
I never saw it.
Yeah.
No. And Rob D said, he wouldn't say. Yeah, Rob, you know, where I'm coming from, it's like, yeah, I don't hold him fully responsible for Solo. I'm sure he did that as a favor because probably George or Steven, you know, said to him, hey, this movie needs work. Kathy's fired these other 2 directors, and he just kind of came in, you know. And so I don't totally blame him, but I hope you see, you know, where I'm coming from, that after that incident, that with him not coming to the support of somebody who he claimed was a friend, it's like I can't support him, and that's kind of passed on to his daughter. I I've seen her in Jurassic World. I didn't have any issues with her, but it's in the back of my mind. I'm like, you're one of Obi's spawn. I just can't attach myself to you. So, but it was fun going through all my pictures, and it just got to a point where we were like, nope, didn't see that movie. Nope, didn't see that one. Where did that one come from? And so now, and then we're up to here, and the last photo I showed was from The Mummy. And less about that, the better. But that was the last photo, and I said, you all had to go out and find your pictures of him in, what you call it. So, yeah. But
he does not look. He does not look good in Thor: Love and Thunder.
I don't. You know what? I have these great memories of him in Gladiator, L.A. Confidential, Master and Commander, especially Cinderella Man. And please, if somebody in the chat knows the guy's name, the man who trained him, I can't think of his name. The man who trained him to box was the same trainer to Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. And he said if Russell had wanted to, he could have boxed, because he said he threw himself into that part so much. He did all of the exercises that a boxer would do. He learned the proper moves. And every time I think I have the guy's name on the tip of my tongue, it goes. But if any of you remember his name, but yeah, he trained Ali, and then he trained Sugar Ray Leonard to his gold medal in the Olympics. But to hear this guy say that, and it's like, yeah, this man, top trainer, one of the greatest boxing trainers of all time, and to hear him say that, thank you, Angelo Dundee. Thank you, VR. That's it. Thanks. That was very high praise from somebody who had trained two of the greatest boxers of all time. So, but yeah, when it got to the Thor: Love and Thunder, I was like, y'all have to look up your own pictures, because I can't go there. I just can't. So yeah, it was a good stream. Steph held in there about 3 hours, and then we went another hour, and it was fun going down memory lane, And I'm sick of him being in the comic book movies, but he's in some movie called Kraven the Hunter. I'm guessing that's a comic book movie. I have no idea.
But this is just a taste of what his Zeus. It's just doesn't look good at all. Like, I don't know if this is like just, I don't know if he put on the weight for the role or if that's just him now. But
no, I've heard he's put on a lot of weight.
Like, it looked really. I was, it didn't look good.
Yes, Glenzer, the Insider, and that was filmed here in Louisville. My baby sister, who has been in love with Al Pacino since she first saw The Godfather, she got to see Al Pacino. And I was not a big fan of Russell's then. I didn't know that much about him when they were filming it here, but and he plays another real person, Jeffrey Wigand. I saw the top of his head. That's all I can say. I was closer to him at the Tugfog concert in 2003, because when everybody was like, oh, you're short, and they just kept pushing me further and further up front until I was a few inches away from the stage. And Russell has that way that when he looks at you, he's looking at you. He's not looking over your head or off to the side, but we did make eye contact. And it was like he had that charisma that, people kept saying when we were, there, and when he stayed at the same hotel we were at, and people were like, he walks in a room and the whole room just goes silent, because they're like, oh, my God. Shield, well, I'll tell you what, the one major injury that he's had was from Gladiator, the scene where Maximus is dying and he falls. Russell fell the wrong way and landed so hard on one shoulder. You can see it in the movie. He landed so hard on his shoulder, he injured himself. So I'm sure that's probably the start of his issues, but
and before going further to that, Mr. Roy needs to head out because he needs to get some sleep before his shift in the evening.
Roy.
So, Mr. Roy, thank you as always for joining, man.
I appreciate you having me on. See you later.
Absolutely. Have a good one, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, let's see, somebody said, LA Confidential is a great movie. I
have it, and I've never seen it.
Oh my God. If Titanic hadn't swept the 97 Oscars, I think LA Confidential, I think, won Best Adapted Screenplay. And of course, Kim Basinger won Best Supporting. And it's like, why did she win and none of the men even got nominated?
Yeah.
I never understood that.
Probably just typical Hollywood,
typical
politics.
Hollywood. And I would have given the Oscar to Gloria Stewart because she had been around for years. I thought she pulled off Old Rose quite well. And I was kind of surprised when Kim Basinger got it, but then she and Baldwin that's when they were still married, and it was all really, really deep. But yeah, he's doing this. Somebody said something about this Craven movie. Soul said Craven. It jumped. Craven the Hunter is going to be a bust. The main actor wants Craven to be. How are you vegan and a hunter?
Vegan and a hunter?
That doesn't make any sense.
Unless you're hunting monsters, but I mean, it's like
vegetables.
Yeah, but it's like if you're hunting monsters and if that's all the hunting you're doing. But even then, you're like, but how would you have learned how to hunt? Typically, someone who's a monster hunter in a fictional universe was a hunter at one point in life because it just makes sense story-wise. That's just weird. That's weird. Yeah, it's very weird.
Okay, well, he's going to be in that.
Southeastern Kaiju hunting celery stalks. Is what,
there you go. But yeah, I saw that, and then the other movie. Let me see if I can pull up his filmology real quick.
Yeah, I have the filmography right up here. Let me pull up on the screen.
Look at his most recent. It's in pre-production.
Let's see, newest first.
It's called
Craven, the Greatest Beer Run?
No.
Prize Fighter.
No, he's doing a movie about. It's called the Pope's Exorcist.
Really? It's not showing up.
It's not showing up. It's on. It's on IMDb.
All right, let me pull up on IMDb then.
And I was like, okay, this sounds kind of interesting, and it's based on the true story of the Vatican's exorcist.
Yeah.
And it was like there it is. The Pope's.
So it's just been announced. That's why.
Yeah. And 100. Oh my gosh. I said 3,000. Yeah. 100,000 exorcists.
Oh my goodness.
So the movie sounds kind of interesting, but then I saw who the director is. And so I have
Julius Avery.
He's another JJ acolyte.
Yeah, but I say Overlord was JJ production.
Yeah.
But also, he doesn't have even if he wasn't a JJ guy, I would still be concerned because that's not a very large filmography, and there's nothing really of note. Because you could have a small filmography, but if you've got a couple of good films under your belt, then maybe there's some potential. But
yeah, that's because I was like, Overlord sounds familiar, and I clicked on it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remembered when that came out, and I remember seeing the trailers, and I was like, this sounds promising, but
I've heard of Amorth mostly because he actually has 2 memoirs, so he actually details his experiences, which is just
so I mean it sounds like it could be pretty interesting, but now I'm like you were saying, when I looked at the director's credits, I was like, the only movie I know here is Overlord. So
and that's not it's like if that's the most well-known film you have, that's not a good start.
Yeah, I mean, if I looked at it and it was like, oh, he directed Gone with the Wind, Citizen Kane, and
Or even we had mentioned earlier Taylor Sheridan. So Taylor Sheridan, he is the one who wrote Sicario, Wind River. He wrote Only the Brave, Top Gun. No, he didn't do Top Gun. There's a director he's worked with before who did that one, but he's the one that's done Yellowstone. That's gotten a lot of attention. The show Yellowstone, 1883. So he's like really known for doing these really good stories. But like, so he only has really a handful of titles, but every single one of them has been either really good or solid. Like he really doesn't. He only has one film that I mentioned. Mr. Roy was saying he had watched Hell or High Water from 2016, which is a really good film.
Okay.
And when we were looking at his filmography, there was only one, which was one with Angelina Jolie that came out last year. And that's like the only film where I wasn't a fan of it. But he directed it, but co-wrote it. And I think it was the co-writing part where he wasn't the full in-charge writer that caused the problems.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you were looking at his credits and you were like, oh wow, this could be really good, but you look at it and it's like nothing. One or two full-blown movies and then a bunch of shorts.
Yeah,
I know everybody's got to start everywhere, but it's like, I mean, a lot of directors in the day, they came from television. They either wrote for television, they directed for television. And then they kind of segued to where they were. But now it's just like, oh, you worked on Gilmore Girls. That qualifies you to write for Star Trek Discovery.
And that's the other notable thing, too, is not just looking at the director and his credentials, but the writers. And there's 3 writers attached. So here's the first one. He has 2 writing credits as far as, Okay. So, and actually the first, so he's only got 1 writing credit. It was a short.
Yeah. Fanboy.
Let's see. This other person here, Barely Any, also worked on Fanboy. He was a painter, so he's worked in the art department.
Okay.
So no experience.
No.
And then this guy looks like he has had the most experience.
Well, he worked on an episode of Winnie the Pooh.
So let's see. This guy as a writer did The Lion King 3.
I knew there was Lion King 2.
But he only did additional screenplay, so he didn't even do the primary screenplay. So additional stories, he wrote a 2005 Pooh's Heffalump Halloween movie. Battle for Terra?
Okay, Cinderella 3, that's one of those Disney direct-to-video.
Yeah. He did the story for the 2019 Charlie's Angels.
Is that Elizabeth Banks movie?
Yes. So he did the story. He didn't do the screenplay. He did the story. Beauty and the Beast screenplay. He
worked on The Huntsman.
So not a very. He also did screenplay for Snake Eyes. So yeah. Let's just say not a good start.
No, I mean seeing what little the director had done was kind of like I don't know. I mean maybe this is just something Russell's just like, we don't know what the script looks like yet. Maybe he liked the script and just said,
it's the character.
It's a character.
I would not be surprised if he's like, I want to do this character.
And especially seeing, yet again, this is going to be a role where he's playing a real person again.
Yep.
Like Jim Braddock, like, the one he played in A Beautiful Mind.
I forget that. Yeah.
John Nash.
Yeah.
It could be one of Jeffrey Wigand. It could be one of those. So that might have been what attracted it. But this could be a movie that I look at. But yeah, the last movie I saw that would be a new release that Russell was in was The Mummy. And I didn't see that until my brother loaded it up onto Vudu. And I said, okay, I'm going to suffer through this. And we all have a lot of issues with that movie.
Yeah.
But
with that one, I was trying to see if the Mummy. So had you seen The Nice Guys?
No, my brother has it in Vudu.
I like it.
Yeah, everybody in the chat last night was saying they really enjoyed it.
They're a great combo. Like they've got really good chemistry, him and Ryan Gosling.
That's amazing because I've only liked Ryan Gosling in The Notebook.
I like him in Drive. I think he's pretty good in Drive.
Wait a minute, I didn't see Drive. Saw a long time ago. Austin was watching a Marvel Shield stream praising the word woke and saying, "What's wrong with woke?" Plus, they said Thor: Love and Blunder is perfectly balanced with comedy. And no, no, I keep hearing that Token doesn't even know what a serious moment is. It kind of reminded me because I know Jane Foster has. They're basing it on that her cancer run in the comics. And I said,
even that's not done seriously.
Yeah, because I was like, so are we on the level of, I got the news yesterday, it's definitely breast cancer.
Yeah,
and
like the room, like luckily it's not that, it's luckily not that bad. Like as far as just like, but I will say there's only like, because you think about that's a very serious subject. They could have handled it very seriously, but they really didn't, right? Because they bring back Kat Dennings, that actress who is like with her as she's getting her as she's getting chemo. So she's like sitting next to her while doing chemo, and anytime that she's on screen, she's always comedic relief. And so they do random jokes and levity. There's only actually one serious sequence in the entire film that I think has any serious weight that they don't try to lift with as much comedy, and that's the very beginning with Christian Bale's gore. That's like the only really serious part, is him in this desert alone with his daughter, and his daughter's, and there's not really much of a spoiler because it's at the very beginning of the film, but his daughter dies.
Yeah, I had heard that.
Like, that is the only part taking seriously, and it's actually, I like that. I was like, this is setting up Gore as a character about why he's going to eventually hate just gods in general, and why he's going to become this god hunter, as it were. But after that, it all of a sudden it just becomes this, and this is what I mentioned in my review, and I mentioned it again to chat today. I was talking with Laura. It's his ego. It's pure Taika ego.
Yeah.
The entire rest of the film, it's just he's so full of himself.
Well, and that, I had never heard of this guy until I went to see Ragnarok, and me and my brother went to see it opening weekend, and when we were getting ready to leave, and my brother, he stood up, and I was getting, my purse and everything, and he said, well, what did you think? And I said, I don't know. And I seriously did not know. It was like, I usually have some kind of reaction to a movie when I've seen it. I'm like, okay, I hated it. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to think about this. But when I say I'm going to have to think about this, I'm usually talking about some serious movie where we're all going to go and have coffee or something, and we sit and discuss the movie. Or I'll say, yeah, I loved it. Hey, Matt. And I didn't know what to think about Ragnarok. And then by the time I got home, I barely remembered anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't think this movie landed with me. I remember laughing a few times, but it's just it was like eating Chinese. I was ready for something else an hour later. So, when this came, and then when he was trolling people on Twitter, I was just like, no, I do not like this dude. He's nasty, like Ryan Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad this movie.
We'll admit those in a minute, baby.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, you don't have no respect. And then at that Comic-Con where he's handing that fake hammer and little tiny arm, I guess her Oscar's not getting her movie roles anymore. So, and she's up there, come back.
And I mentioned this in my review, but also the fact that he's so petty. He's so petty that he actually took all of that and put it into the movie. So he actually gives a line to Jane Foster. He gives her a line at the very end of the film where Gore, so Christian Bale's Gore, says to her, female Thor or Lady Thor. And she gets mad and she's like numbering things off, like, 1, don't call me don't call me Lady Thor, don't call me female Thor. And then and then basically says I'm Mighty Thor. Call me Mighty Thor or Dr. Jane Foster. So it's like,
because when I heard somebody, I don't remember if it was your review or not, and I said, no, I'm just gonna call you Expleted. Because I'm like, no, oh my God. But no, the only thing that would make me watch the movie would be Russell, and I wouldn't even watch it for that. Because it's just going to ruin like somebody said in our stream last night, people like, George, Steven, Ridley, they need to stop directing because you're starting to forget the good stuff and the great stuff they did.
Yes.
Instead of this mediocre crap they keep pumping out. So that's the kind of the way I feel about Russell. It's like, The Mummy was the last movie that I saw him in, and I had already pretty much stopped looking at a lot of his stuff. Haven't even seen The Water Diviner, and that was his directorial debut, and people said it was very good.
I've heard some things about it,
Yeah, so, but it's just like, I would rather remember him in some of his Australian work and Quick and the Dead and Mr. Alaska, LA Confidential, Cinderella Man. I would rather remember him when he was at his peak and not seeing him stuck in a piece of crap with token woke titty, So, Matt, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm going to jump back into the chat, and chat, I will be posting the link to mine and Stephanie's channel, Soup to Nuts, and I will also post the link to our EFAP from last night.
That's right.
So, Matt, awesome. I know you dropped in for a couple of minutes last night, so thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to go on mute.
Sounds good. So, Matt, how you been, man? Good to see you.
Doing good. It's been a while since Fan Expo.
Yeah. How you been since?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
I enjoyed FNT last night as well.
Yeah, it was actually, I always love, especially when Rip is on, because I feel like the conversations usually become much more about the pop culture, become more about nerd culture stuff. Yes. And that's the kind of stuff I'm much better to, I'm much more able to interact with that kind of content versus sometimes when we don't necessarily have that kind of that kind of focus, and it becomes a little bit more of, ooh, let's just say the number of face palms go up quite a bit usually when that's usually the case.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got 15 minutes or so left, so I figured I'd let you have the floor and mention anything that you wanted to talk about today.
Not much as far as I don't plan on going to see Thor: Love and Thunder.
I don't blame you.
Never had plans from the beginning, don't have them now, and though did make me a little kind of disappointed that, because since then I've kind of abandoned all interest in the MCU, and I've kind of also been turning more toward its actual source material.
Okay, that's right. Because how many comics did you end up picking up from? It was because you actually picked up some comics from the expo from Dallas, right?
Yeah, a handful of X-Men, some Claremont X-Men from 1980, as well as Dark Horse Star Wars comics.
Okay. Didn't you pick up maybe I'm thinking of someone, because a lot of people actually there were some really good deals on a lot of those comics actually. And someone picked up the entire first run of Thor. Was that you?
No.
Okay. Someone else picked up the first run of Thor.
Which run?
I guess I think it was the original one. The original.
Original.
I don't know the name of it either. I'm not a comics person. You act like I would know these things. All I know is that they said it was the first Thor. So I take their word at it. So I'm assuming whatever the first run of Thor.
Money in that case.
Unless it was, because a lot of the comics that I know people were picking up were the ones where they weren't pristine, and so they weren't that expensive.
Right. But even then, Journey into Mystery, 83 or A7, Thor's first appearance, at my local comic shop.
Yeah.
I saw a graded 3.0 issue. So obviously not in the best shape, kind of faded, but
how do the grades work for those like myself who don't know how the grades work?
I haven't really done that too much research, but it kind of has to deal with condition and just is
higher better or worse?
Yes.
I guess. Okay. So higher is better.
This 3.0 rating of Thor's first appearance was $10,000.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I was kind of wondering
if
that's what I was told at my local shop.
Okay. Maybe that was the comic itself having its first appearance versus the actual like dedicated run of the character.
Like a collection.
Yeah.
That'd be especially Stan Lee, Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's actually what I read a lot recently, and also I feel kind of disappointed in retrospect that we didn't get to see like that version of Thor that became popular in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in retrospect, I still like, Kenneth Branagh's Thor movie, especially in comparison to what's come afterward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
because at the very least, it's a competently made movie,
Yes. Like you probably saw Mahler's tweet about, the scene where Odin cast Thor out and just how much dramatic gravity there was in that scene. And then he pointed out, this belongs in the same continuity. What happened?
Not to mention the fact of the casting choice for, Anthony Hopkins to be Odin. To have that level of gravitas, like, because you think now I'm just thinking back to that original film and I'm already like feeling it, like I cast you out. It's like no one else but Anthony Hopkins really could have done it as well as he did at that time, I think.
Yeah, I know. But of course, reading, I've kind of wished that Thor's first kind of cinematic outing was a lot more like that, like the original. Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, like design, complete with the flowing long hair, the helmet, just the like the 4-color palette.
Yeah.
Just people
also having the multiple because isn't there like a multi-person, not necessarily multi-personality?
Yeah, he has a secret identity. He's
identity.
Dr. Don Blake.
Yeah.
He's like a lame, like cripple doctor in real life, but he pounds the stick and it turns into Mjolnir and he becomes Thor. And that whole dynamic was actually pretty interesting. So he already knew about being Thor as well as being on Earth to begin with. That seemed a little bit more a dynamic that was a little more interesting than, well, like in his first movie, just being a fish out of water.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, I need sustenance. I like it. I mean, it's funny, but
yeah,
I kind of reading the comics. I kind of,
but it was much more situational. Yeah, it was limited because it's not bad for these films to have humor. It's when it gets hit over the head, and that's why I think Ragnarok is definitely a breaking point for a lot of people because as Tina mentioned, she wasn't a fan of it, but I personally really like it, and I think that there are a lot of people where it's like they either hate it or they're indifferent, or for people like me, I actually thoroughly enjoy it. That's why I look to Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's like if you hated Ragnarok because of the intense comedy, you're gonna hate Love and Thunder because it does the same thing, only times 1,000. Like to an excessive.
I grew to not liking Ragnarok, so yeah, it's the same.
Yep. And then Glinzer just sent a $5 super chat saying, female Thor isn't even an original idea. Check out What If number 10, a comic from 1978. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, that's in the context of a what if scenario.
Yeah. And even that's probably more well thought out than what they presented us here.
Oh, yeah. But even still, I did it.
What was that?
Oh, I did it. Oh, wait.
You can go ahead. I was just pulling it up to highlight it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, let's say also the whole dynamic with Jane Foster, like in the original comic, like Lee Kirby run, was that she was his like the woman he was like his nurse secretary who he was infatuated with, but he could, in order to marry her, he would have to essentially tell her that he's Thor, and he's forbidden from doing that. And also Odin wouldn't allow him to marry a mortal. And that whole dynamic of him wanting to be faithful to his father and to Asgard while also wanting to be with the love of his life. I mean, that kind of dramatic angle I really liked as well.
Mm-hmm.
That not sure how I mean Jane Foster is handled in this one. Is she kind of still treated as the love of Thor's life, or
still
is
the
she
love
kind
of his
treated as
still the love of his life? And it's very random how she basically is, obviously this is something from the comic of her having cancer. And they then have it be where she's trying to find a way to get a cure. So she's talking to her, doctor friend and everything, but she can't find it. And so all of a sudden you see her look at a bunch of books and they're all like Norse mythology style. And then that puts an idea into her head. And then she runs off to New Asgard to look at the broken hammer, to look at the broken Mjolnir. And then all of a sudden it starts moving and you're just like, this just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's like, obviously it says whoever, if they be worthy shall have the power of Thor. And it's just like,
again, that doesn't make sense. Thor's a name. Do they point that out?
Well, yeah, that's
why
the other
she's
thing.
Called Thor, even though there's already one Thor with a name he was born with.
Yeah, because even in the comics, because I'm not an expert on it, but aren't there other characters that play Thor, like other characters that take the power of Thor, but their names are not Thor? Like, isn't there a horse?
Maybe though. My God, I'm still kind of a novice in regards to Thor, like comic history.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bill was the one I was thinking of.
But at least I'm trying to at least study and try to become versed in it.
Yeah.
Beta Ray Bill.
So this is the reason why I look to what they're doing in the films, and especially by adding that line of "I'm female Thor, I'm mighty Thor," and I'm looking at it and I'm just thinking to myself, well, this is a character that has the power of Thor, and yet they're known as Beta Ray Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So why could it not just be she has the power of Thor, but she's Jane Foster?
Yes.
But instead they have to bring it into it being something completely different. So, and again, maybe someone knows more about this than I do, but it just, to me, is silly. It seems like they are clearly trying to force an agenda item into something that they don't need to do.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm still kind of a novice on a lot of the Thor's history, but I'm just kind of going off what I've already read so far, and just at least trying to do my due diligence as a scholar of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is more than can be said for a lot of other, like the people they're hiring.
Absolutely. Doing a lot more research than someone like Taika Waititi, who doesn't do research on anything.
Well, he does some research, just he throws out the stuff that we like.
I was going to say
he hates and doesn't want to put in his movie.
I was going to say, well, obviously he does some research, but I don't think he does it well. And the reason why I say that is because of the big story that's come out of the interviews that they've been having for this movie, because they've been asked about, at one point, Taika Waititi was asked about Star Wars, and he had wanted Natalie Portman to be in it. And it's like, yeah, she already was. She's like, I didn't know. So that's what, like, he might have done some research, but clearly he doesn't do research well, So
or even Portman herself, when she apparently in an interview said that it's good that there's a female Thor for little girls to look up to. Weren't you Padme Amidala for 3 movies?
Yeah. And aren't there several female heroes that you could have portrayed instead that could have been heroes to look up to? I mean, it's just like, you don't have to force this nonsense that does not actually work at all, and then in addition to that, add in lines that go after people who are bringing up valid criticisms to make the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah. So with that, I guess with that angle in the movie, you could probably. Yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
I might even I mean, it took me a while to. The only modern Marvel movie I actually did watch, even recently, was No Way Home, and that was only because a friend rented it.
Oh yeah, and that one's even though it's MCU, it's Sony. Yeah, I like that one personally.
Oh yeah, that was all right.
Yeah,
I like it. I still liked it if it were the only, like if it were the last Spider-Man movie, perhaps. Though, we'll see.
Yeah. It is sad that it took them 3 movies just to get this iteration of Peter Parker to actually be most like Peter Parker with the being in his own apartment and
so he sewed his own outfit.
Yep.
And
it took them that long to actually get to that point.
Yes, now he's Spider-Man. And I can leave it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than not seeing Thor, I have been watching been watching through all the James Bond movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're all on Amazon Prime, actually.
Yeah. Which one? Because I do need to wrap it up soon because we're at the 3-hour mark. But which one is your favorite out of the ones have you watched them all, or are you just in the process of watching them all?
Oh, I've watched most of them like over the years, but
this is rewatching them.
Yeah, it's kind of rewatching it from the beginning. And
so what's been the one you've liked the most?
Is still GoldenEye.
Okay, all right, yeah. That's the James Bond that we grew up with, right? Was the Pierce Brosnan version?
Yes, complete with the game.
Oh, the game. N64. Oh, yes.
And the movie, and just that Brosnan era was the one I'm most familiar with. But
yes,
all the other movies, like I've watched in the past, when they were do you remember like the Thanksgiving James Bond marathons they'd have on Spike?
I feel like I do. I remember Spike TV. So
yes, that was how I watched them.
Yeah,
with my father.
So see, yeah, I remember them. I just never. Yeah, I never actually watched. I think I mentioned it before. I had not watched all of the James Bond, including the classics. Some of them I had never seen before, even once, until really the last year or two, when my wife and I decided to go through them all.
Oh yeah. But yeah, as far as the movies, other movies, I've pretty much watched all of Sean Connery's run so far.
Okay.
As well as Lazenby's single movie as well.
What are your thoughts on that one? I always hear some mixed thoughts on it. I personally was not a fan of it.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
Like, it still felt like a James Bond movie. Complete with the... all right, Brett. Complete with the... like, the whole love angle. The action was still good, too. Though it did take a little bit to get to, like, the main story. A lot of it was just kind of back and forth with some crime family and the Austrian like mountain estate that was secretly run by Blofeld and Spectre. And then finally, when the action picks up, it was still really good. And even the ending really struck me a little harder than I thought it would. Because I actually hadn't watched this one, but so it was watching that one with fresh eyes. I really liked it, but then after that one, I guess Lazenby quit, and then they brought it back an old Connery to do Diamonds Are Forever, which I had just finished watching not long ago, and it's still enjoyable, but it's a lot cheesier than I remembered it. Complete with Mr. Fink and Mr. Wint. Remember them?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had forgotten about
Parodied in Kids Next Door.
Oh, yeah. I had forgotten about them. Yeah, my wife and I found them to be very entertaining.
Oh, yes. And Bond being like, I know that cologne. The last time I always recognize that cologne when I smell a rat. And then he kills them both at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been doing so far.
Nice.
If you want to get here, that's fine.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure baby Thor, my son, is just about to wake up because I was hearing footsteps, and normally that's a sign of either my wife going to get him, or I haven't heard the little steps yet, so I don't know if he's running around like crazy. But he's been in toddler mode a little bit more often recently, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that. But for those that had missed it earlier, just to wrap things up, I have been locked out of my Twitter account for violating Twitter rules. So I have 7 hours left in my timeout. So this is what I get when I try and access it. As it says, you have determined that you have violated the Twitter rules, so you need to wait time before using Twitter again. So I've been locked out. I've got 7 more hours for being timed out. And Dan Vask, I had forgotten that it was a retweet. I used a quoted tweet that I had been gotten this not suspension really, but this lockout for. I had forgotten that it was Dan Vass tweet that I had done. So Dan Vass already reached out to me on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey man, sorry, I got you kicked out for my post." And I was like, "Hey man, I added my own commentary, and so that is the reason why they." Yeah, ended up locking me out, and let me see if I can reload this because it's insane that this is the world we live in, where to state biological fact, to state truth, is considered to be hateful content. So the actual
Elon's backed out of the deal for the time being.
Yes, which I really am hoping, and obviously I have no idea what it's going to be, but my hope is that it's him trying to play some type of 4D chess.
I think so too, because Twitter's talking about, well, we're going to sue you. Well, then Twitter's going to have to reveal all of the stuff that they weren't releasing to him. And I don't think we want that, because then the advertiser will be saying, wait a minute, half of your subs are bots. What have we been paying for?
Yep, exactly. So, but anyway, as it said, this was the email that I got from them. Says, you violated our rules against hateful conduct. Hateful conduct.
She's a terrible actress. So then,
yeah. Well, that's hateful. You just said actress.
Actress.
You can't say that she is a woman.
Actress. Female.
I just love the way that the rules worded, though. You may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass. Okay, how did I promote violence? I didn't. How did I threaten? No threat. How did I didn't tag the no. Okay, gotcha. For the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, which the fact that that's in there, it's like, okay, that's you taking a political position, not anything else. And then also I love how they have religious affiliation. It's like, oh really? So how many times do you lock people out for going after Christians? Oh, probably never.
Never. Yeah.
And my crime. Here's my crime. I put LOL. She's still a woman, y'all. Hashtag Ellen Page is a woman. Hashtag Ellen Page.
Hashtag Ellen Page is a terrible actress.
Yes. Even that would be considered hateful conduct, because...
Well, that's the reason why if you ever
She wasn't very good Kitty Pryde in retrospect.
Yep.
If you ever went in my Twitter, everything you're going to see is retweets of recipes and travel tips. That's it. I don't get involved in all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, if you want a good recipe for blooming onions, there you go.
Yeah, I get involved with this one just out of principle, because especially now finding out that Dan Vass had gotten, I think he actually may have even gotten a suspension for all I know. But it's just, and I saw Laura had mentioned saying sometimes you will need to like delete the tweeting question. I have not gotten any word on that. All I was like, the only thing that was in the email was this. And so it did not mention anything about having to actually delete that specific tweet. So, let's just say if they do ask me to delete it, I won't, because there's nothing wrong with it. And if they do, or if I do decide to delete it, then it's just going to be so that I can put another tweet up, and it'll be hashtag Elliot Page is a woman, and I'll be like, oh, is that better since I'm using their now legal name? If I'm using her legal name, but I'm still stating a fact. Because that's the only way I'm taking it down, is if I'm going to put it back up and I'll just have that slight change. And it's like, yeah, it's still the same sentiment. We'll see. But yeah, I've been called a TERF on Twitter repeatedly, says Laura. Yeah, it's amazing, because that's not seen as being hateful or harassing to be called, to be called TERF or to be called anything like. It's ridiculous. Their rules are ridiculous. They don't actually hold anyone else accountable. But anyway, before I go, Tina, anything you want to say before we head out?
I'm going to post a link to Soup to Nuts.
Perfect.
1 second. And okay, that sub, hit the bell notification. Come join us. We'll probably, I'm going to see how Stephanie's feeling. Like I said, she did great last night. But we may do a show next Friday. And with James Caan passing away so suddenly, we already have the show, decided upon. So we'll talk about him. Larry Storch also died yesterday. Great comedian, died at the age of 99. So we'll probably touch on that, do our usual birthdays and other anniversaries. But come by and join us. And we're just all about the fun. So
boom, there it is. Support Soup to Nuts. And Matt, anything you want to say before we leave?
Not much else. Just glad to be back on.
All right. Yeah, glad to have you back. Sad that you can only be on for a little bit, but still glad that you were able to make it on even at the very end. So thank you all for being here. Yeah. Thanks also to Mr. Roy for being here earlier, for Rosetta Island for being here earlier, and to all of the Chosen as well. I know K-Man had some work scheduling issues and wasn't able to come by, so luckily he was able to be on last week. To be able to talk about things that he's been seeing. He had good signal last week too, so we were very excited about that. But anyway, I gotta go take care of baby Thor and the Lady Freya. So anyway, thank you all so very much for being here. Please smash that like button. No stream tonight, as normal. Whenever we have the Chosen streams, I do like to not have to overstream myself. So I do the 3 hours in the middle of the day, which I think works for most people on Saturdays. And so no stream tonight, and I'll try and put that on my socials. But as I mentioned, I'm locked out of my Twitter, so you won't hear me there. But anyway, y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody, and as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to my July Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. First starting off with Brandon, let's go Brandon, Chris from the 80s, who you can check out over on YouTube, Garrett Searles, Hymir Ari Hymason, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Father, Luca Illick, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can also check out over on his YouTube channel as well. Congrats on recently getting to 1,000 subscribers. Rosetta Allen, who you can also find on YouTube as well. Stan Andrian and Miss Martin Muses, who also has her own YouTube channel. Thank you all very much for supporting me over on the platform of Patreon. We also have my Subscribe Star members, Matt317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, John B, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alice McCarthy Jr., shout out to you, good sir, and continue that awesome recovery that you are doing. Dean Heiss, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. ZK-Man, you can find out over and follow him on Twitter as well. And we also have my Locals members. We have of course, the lovely and amazing Minnesota hockey fan. How about a hockey player? UAB UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win, and Robert Barnes, as well as Brett D90. Thank you very much. And my last supporter, of course, is the amazing Tina B, Empress of the Universe, one of my mods on the channel. Check out her new show with my other Valkyrie, Stephanie B, on her channel, Tina B's channel, which is called Soup to Nuts. Go check that out because it is pretty awesome and fun content. Anyway, that is going to be it for all of my Keeper of the Bifrost level members and above. If you want your name shout out at the end of every video and live stream, please make sure that you check out the top link of the video description. It is w.lo, the Willow link, as I like to call it, and you can find my Patreon, Subscribe Star, etc., where you can get not only shout outs, but also access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger every single month, and also access to giveaways of Blu-rays, 4Ks, etc., all that good stuff. Check that out in the video description. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, God bless.